Crazy, man.
Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. That's your boy, Beef Stroganoff, and I'm Sharif. And who's joining us today in the chat? Let's see, we got there. We got Donka Trader. We got Gorev. Shout out to Taking Leaps. Mike PD Rider. We got Charlie Taff and Ben Joseph. I thought that Ben Johnson for a second. I was like, uh-oh. Taking Leaps again. Girl Trader. She says, let's go. We got Pack Therapy 2 and Rook 78. Shout out to Pitchbull, Scott H. We got Hinsey. We got Yannick. What was this guy, bro? Stop spamming the chat, man. We got MA. We got Hiram Patel and Evan Ballin. He's ballin', baby. Jacob Savage. You Savage? Brown Lightning and others saying, shout out to RB and JG. We got Craig. We got Emil. We got Sean H. Jeremy S. Fluffy Hippo. Get it, girl. We got Matthew Curzins. We got Ryan. We got OZ Radia, Tay P, Grant Ratcliffe and Bax. Who else, man? We got Hussein and Hangry Wife. Shout out to D. Westermeyer, Cheeseour Live. Toilet Brush. No. Get that name out of here. We got Byron Hart, Kirk D. Tisha. All right, Tisha, we got to talk about Hertz because that one is breaking out. But we got to pause for a second before we go to our boy Joey Options. Adara's got news at the big desk.
Google announcing a partnership here, and yet always keep an eye out for Google around 11 a.m. It seems like this is the time where it likes to release these press releases via their blog. Either way, Google today announcing via its blog a partnership with Vitality. Now, this is a leader in the insurance space, but these two companies are going to be partnering up to bring AI-powered health solutions. This is through a partnership called Vitality AI. So again, Google, multifaceted tech company, and insurer Vitality teaming up for that Vitality AI partnership. A little bit of a bounce on Google with that news. Back to you.
Shout out to Wicked Chunky Trades. Happy birthday, girl. Hope you have a fantastic day. Yes, you are a Scorpio. That means, you know, you gotta stay clear of Scorpios, Joseph. I don't try to get on their backside. Let me tell you, bro. They hold grudges and they do not forget. Shout out to all the Scorpios out there, man. I'm just having some fun.
All right,
good morning, Joey.
Good morning, man. TAC 9090.
TAC 99.
You're on the brink of elimination there, my friend. Don't be spamming the old chat. All right, guys, let's break down. I've been trading one name today.
Okay.
Again, we get the short here. I'm like, you know, let's hold it to original stop. And it goes against me. And then here, again, we get stopped out at the break of the high, totally fine. And then I catch the peak. But Joey Stroganoff just let it go a little bit too early. Now I'm in at the break of VWAP once again. That's starting to work out for us. But I had double the amount of size up here. And then my target was going to be, and then with an additional add at those specific levels. So it's unfortunate, but I think we can continue to climb a little bit, or crawl a little bit lower, I guess I should say. Someone asked me if I bought the dip in Bitcoin. No, I have not, because I don't believe it's done dipping yet. I think there's going to be substantially more downside. I don't know whether it's going to be another 10% or so, but 90s I think is in the works. There's nothing positive really looking at the crypto space right now until you break through some of those support levels, and then maybe we can get climbing after that. But right now I'm just selling calls against my position right now. I was thinking about about buying some puts, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just not overdo ourselves and get overexposed, considering what's going on right now. I'll take a little bit off here on Tesla as we break through the volume-weighted average price. You can see us in there from 34 as we take it out at 16s right there. I know, Pack Therapy. It is. But I think there's, as I mentioned, man, there's going to be some more downside. I think we see 90s or something along those lines. And yeah, if you guys always. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's hit this there and see. Hopefully we're not at 21.4%. So that's starting to grow. We don't want that, guys. Do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe. Other than that, we're getting that breakdown in Tesla right now. Are we going to get a bounce in some other names? I don't know. I'm looking short potentially on NVDA. I just think it's going to take some time for supports to be broken, and that's going to put us south of 201. Maybe the floodgates open once you crack those levels. This is a difficult name to short because the ebb and flow of it. right? Like you get the break of the level, then the chances of it getting bought back up are relatively high. So yeah, that's what I got going on. Tesla would have been an absolute monster trade, but we're kind of just gaining back everything right now, Sharif.
Sounds good, Joey. You know, we've seen this story before where Joey ends up being flat or up after being down in the morning. So we're going to shout him out, and we know he'll get it back. All right, guys, HTZ, we're involved in this one at 59. I just whipped the beak there at 84s at the high of the day. We are at 84 right now. My next profit taker is 88, and then I'm waiting in the mid 90s. We're up 38, almost 39% now on HTZ. It's got a great looking pattern and a whole lot of volume, and by a whole lot, I'm talking about 2/3 of 100 million shares. Yeah, that was a long way of saying 65 million shares traded on the day, and we just passed 11 o'clock now, so ample amounts of volume. I'm really trying to focus on this one for a 7 break. Now, we did weasel on into that 7 area with a 697 high. Since that time, we've been putting some lower highs in, but I like that bounce off a key area of technical support. What's that support area? Well, it's give or take that 650, right? Which was an interesting area to begin with, because on our way up in the pre-market at around 810, we basically got into that 6.25, dropped all the way back down. So I was like, look, I'm not going to give this to 6.25. I'm going to front run it at 6.5. If it loses the bid, we'll get it at the third of a dollar, and then we'll get in at 6.25. I didn't need to do that because it didn't lose 6.5. And here it is right now at 88. That's where my profit taker is, and boom, we take out that. Now we're waiting in the mid 90s. Now HTZ almost up 40%. There's 90. There's a seller at 90 here to the tune of about 400, 500 lots. Let's see if we can take some of that off. We've got about 168, 169 on the top. Let's see if some orders can come on the time and sales, some green, some orange, to push that 90 seller out of the way so we can make our way into that high day, which, as I mentioned, is 97. But that's not the only one I'm looking at. We've got plenty going today, so let's get right down to it. One is a holdover from yesterday, DTCK. Shout out to the man, Ozan, who's taken this short, while I was taking it long. Somehow, we both ended up being profitable on it. But DTCK, I'm already 0 for 1 on it to start the morning. Tried to take a couple of retracements into area lows. It didn't quite make it down into the 10 EMA, and now it's got a bit of a compression pattern. What do I mean by that? Lower highs, but we also got higher lows. But it's the trend that precedes the compression which interests me, which is obviously an uptrend. So what I'm going to try to do is try to pick this up off key areas of support. I'm thinking, you know, between 70 to 75 right now might be money buys, with my ALP being the loss of the 10 EMA and the 5, which is currently sitting at 65. That's my thinking here on DTCK. It's a multi-day runner, and I happen to like this one for exactly that reason. It's a multi-day runner, so it's not just around for a good time, as we always say, but maybe a long time. There goes HTZ, Joseph, into the high. We take out mid-90s. That's a new high a day at 98. We're going to go ahead and post at 01s now to see if we can get that $7 break and mosey on up through 7. We're up 41%, Joseph.
All right, man, good stuff. We take a little bit more off on Tesla. The thing is, though, I'm so tempted to try to grab along on Bitcoin, but I think that can end absolutely disastrous. Excuse me, guys, I'm choking on my tea a little bit here, but there it is, guys, a couple more outs. If only the woodpecker cried, as the song goes, but that's all right. We get out of there, and then we just hop right back in with that gameplay. And so let's go, Joseph says ADL. Yeah, I mean, hey, brother, it is what it is. I only have half the size on here than what I had here and here, which isn't the best, but oh well, we'll take it. Nonetheless, there's plenty of day left within this session, so I like our chances. There goes NVDA right to those support levels. That's exactly what I want to see, as this downtrend is still fully intact. So you can see this on the 5-minute with that 201.25 support level. Once that breaks, I'm going to get rocking and rolling, and maybe if I can catch the top end of the range, then that's going to be even a better risk to reward ratio, which I think is extremely important. Let's go. Nvidia can go to 200. We can see a lit crab can be a good play. Yeah, absolutely. There is a little bit of buying pressure in there. As soon as this sits on top of this, oh yeah, okay, I'll do this anyways. As soon as it sits on top of this 5-minute range here, then I like our chances to climb back once again, because this name is just so strong. It was up to 211 yesterday, now down to 201. So yeah, keep an eye on it. market. Don't fight it. Apple is putting in a new high of the day, and I'm surprised that the overall market is not participating a little bit more. But by all means, I like to short on Tesla. Why? Because it tends to be a little bit weaker when the market is moving to the downside, unless it's going complete oppo. Here's the daily as well, too, guys. So we're just mid-range, nothing really going on. I do understand that we open up on top, but now we're starting to come back in. Where's that next level going to be? Maybe 434. I mean, that's still a 20-point drop from where we're currently at right now. I don't think that's going to necessarily be the case today, but at some point, if this market doesn't want to kind of rebound immediately, then just keep an eye out on that. Bitcoin, this thing is going to sucker me into a long, I know it, as it's holding some of these support levels there, Shreve. Double bottom at 58.40, a nice pop to the top side, but as soon as you go and enter this gap from the gap down, it rejects aggressively. So what does this tell me? That, yeah, it's really, the institutions are really taking a hold of this. So you got to be patient. I think they're going to continue some more liquidity grabs. So as you can see, we have this shelf being formed at 58.47s. That's now starting to break. Where's that next level? I hope not 55s. This is the worst performing. It's my largest and my worst performing asset in my long-term portfolio. I mean, I'm up 220% on Robinhood. I'm up 150% on NVDA or something along those lines. And Bitcoin, I've been holding the longest as well too, is only up a measly 60%. I mean, should I say measly? No. But compared to what other, like the tech trade is doing, it's drastically underperforming. Can anything happen? And I know with MSTR's earnings, a lot of it is based on Bitcoin hitting 150K. What if that doesn't happen by the end of the year? You have to take into consideration that we're 100,000 right now, so that's going to be a double in the span of a couple of months. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's going to take significantly longer than what we think it's going to. Shreve.
All right, Joey, sounds good. All right, we are getting a 7 rejection or thereabouts of HTZ, so we continue to accrue prints at that $7 level. Nary a breach, though. In fact, no breaches. 698 high day, and it remains that way. Topping tail inverse hammer candle on the 5 that touched 98, and it closed well lower than the closing print of the prior candle. The prior candle, the green one I'm talking about, is 1105. The inverse hammer candle is 1110. Despite all that, it's still hanging out in the high 80s. My move on this one, initially, I was looking, okay, Sharif, at the 75 penny level, it makes sense there. That's where the 10 EMA is, psychological possible support at 3/4. But I don't see too much in the way of interactions between that and the 10 EMA, so I will add likely at the 20. So if it does dip down into about 6 mid to low 60s. New trade alert though. No, not HTZ, DTCK. Okay, we're long at 87s. We're showing 95s, 97, 98. All right, we got multiple prints. Shout out to the OG Ozan, who's like, yo, this thing's back. I'm like, yes, it is back, Ozan. Hopefully he doesn't short it today, or I'm assuming he will, because he's that kind of guy. Shout out to Ozan. So let's see if we can get that $4 break. High day 410, topping tail candle, printed that 410 candle. Then we dropped quite aggressively into 370. It looks like we're bidding back up now. This stock, though, is suffering from the same affliction it suffered from yesterday, which is a bit of a wider spread, especially relative to the price and the volume. Right now, it's decent. It's 2 pennies, but I've seen it as wide as 7. So let's see what it does right now. 2 pennies again into 97 as we knock on the door of $4. Let's see if we can get that price spike up. I have my next profit taker north of 4, so it will have to clear 4 for it to print me on this one. DTCK up 26.7%. Here we go. 99s now showing up. Good luck. Let's see if we can get a 4 spot on that ask side of the level 2, not quite yet. 98s again, 99, so packing the patience there. Let's see what comes of this one. Back to HTZ. Yeah, this one definitely looking like it's going to retrace a little bit, which is fine because we have 59s on. That gives me a little bit of room with which to work on HTZ. Let's see, hopefully it doesn't drop and make me look really, really silly. Ozan's going to short at 430 on DTCK, so watch out for that level because Ozan is going to take you down. All right, here's what I'm looking at, guys. It's not just HTZ and DTCK. I was looking at Ruby before it crapped the bed and lost $1 from 192 as quickly as we lose $1. I've this probably loses its spot on the side chart any second now, as it interests me very little. I did have a breakout trade on TERN. This is another holdover from yesterday in the same way that DTCK is. And look how beautifully it holds yesterday's closing print and then makes new highs. So TERN certainly in play for me. But like it did yesterday, it sometimes has respect for VWAP, sometimes not so much. So right now it's losing the volume weighted average price. If it works its way above and starts showing me some higher highs and breaks this trend of lower highs that we've been putting in since 10:30, we'll get involved. So let's see if we can break that trend to the downside on TERN. I've got more to say, more to look at. We're going to go to Adara for a second. She's got news.
I do have some news here, and it's from Amazon, more specifically Amazon Web Services, or AWS. AWS has just announced FastNet, is what they're calling this. Then this is a dedicated high-capacity transatlantic cable that will be connecting the U.S. and Ireland. So once this is operational, which is going to be estimated here in 2028, FastNet will be able to add vital diversity, is what they're saying here, for customers by building new data pathways. So again, Amazon announcing FastNet, which is going to be a cable connecting the U.S. and Ireland. AWS News, AMZN on watch, as we send you back to Joe and Sharif.
Yeah, go ahead. I have to go on. Sorry. Let me just finish this up. So we're also looking at KXIN. This one's also basically building a position into the high, right at 1 2/3. But it's a bit spready, especially given that it's $1. So trade this one carefully. But I feel this one's got a couple of good bull flags here that maybe some people are looking to take short and getting squeezed. Case in point, 9:30, we pop up aggressively. We have about 20 minutes of consolidation. And then look at this volume bar, Joey, at 10 o'clock. I know you're going to like that one right there. Boom! Takes this one into 160. So we got a couple of bull flags here. No two bull flags created equal. Some are longer periods of consolidation, some are shorter. So KXIN, Joey, definitely keeping my eye on this one.
All right, yeah, Apple, guys, is continuing to climb higher, up to 270 now on the session, putting in a new high of the day. We're getting a new low here in Tesla as well. We're going to continuously piece them out, guys, as we establish new lows on the day. So why not? Bang. Shout out to 21s, and there it is. Might take an additional leg lower. I think at this pace, we go and test the low of the day. Could I be wrong? Absolutely, but I like our chances. Here's NVDA still at those support levels, holding up. The longer it consolidates, the more I like as a secondary liquidity grab. And then you make that move lower. There goes Bitcoin cracking through support, 58.25 on IBIT. Not too good of a look whatsoever in that space. What has Ethereum been up to, guys? Probably a little bit worse. There it is at the low of the day. So, I mean, not good whatsoever. I mean, you got to be patient. I think if you can get in at some lows, slowly just grab some more, then I think you'll be all right. Where I bought, not the best, but what we can do is, like, we're not in panic mode. I'm going to start really small on NVDA for the crack of support. If it doesn't and hits on the backside of this trend, then I'll just hop out with no issues. I got no problems with that. But as for the crypto space, right now, if you're not in a position, I think just avoid it until it starts to show signs of any form of strength, a couple catalysts coming out in its favor, et cetera, and then you can start to dabble a little bit more in that. But now we're in some NVDL. Let's see if we can get this to go to the downside. Obviously, with my size, I'm just starting really, really small to see because there's multiple fake outs, but I do like this price compression pattern. Let's pull it up on the 5-minute. As you can see, that continuous downtrend right here, and we're forming those lower highs, which I think is really important. If the floor snaps, then maybe we can take that next level. We can pull it up. I mean, we got to go back to an hourly to see what we got going. We'll go 2 hours on this one to see if there's any specific level. I'm not saying that 195 is going to be in the works for today, but that's something that you want to look out for. You can see that we almost formed this double top, failed to construct a new high right there, and then sure enough, we're down to the lower end of this range, and watch out for anything south of these levels. You get those indecision prints, and you can look for a potential long there in NVIDIA. I think at 200, this thing is still a half decent buy. Obviously, don't go all in at once. You just want to slowly start to allocate, and there it is, a big time liquidity grab on Bitcoin as it's continued to move to head towards 58. It's going to get worse before it gets any better, I think, guys. So keep an eye out on that. I'm just trying not to look at my P&L on that swing trade there. And again, I don't want to panic. Don't want to panic. We have a game plan. We have plenty of time, just continuously selling calls, and then hopefully we can get that working. AFI, I looked at Noke. Not much is going on there, but what is going on is Apple now up to almost 271. Noke is e-liquid, right? So I can pull it up for you. There's not much we can say.
Wow.
What do you got going on there?
Joey, I got to interrupt. Sorry. DTCK is taking out levels, guys. There it goes through 4. It's a new high a day. 412 here on DTCK, taking out the prior topping tail candle that closed at 1055. This current candle is the new HOD candle. Now, the move is going to be, now I have to watch what it does here with 4 because I don't mind adding into this position. Especially if it's going to start getting, its footing under it, about 30% in Greensville. But I don't think that we have cleared 4 by a sufficient amount in order to say, I'm going to use 4 as a backstop, as support area. So I'm going to keep clear on this one for now, Joey. I think I want to add on the dips because it's kind of hard to discern trend here on DTCK. And here's why I say that, because of the top end price action. But when you look a little bit further and you look at the lows, as opposed to looking at the highs, you're still getting these higher lows, and you really haven't broken trend. I mean, these 2 candles over here, 1055 and 11 on the 5-minute chart, were the most bamboozling. Subsequent to that, you started holding trend. Doji candle, 1105, area low, subsequent candle, higher low, subsequent candle, higher low. You get it? Subsequent candle, higher low. So it's continuing to trend, even though it has bamboozling top side action. The bottom side action, though, seems to be a bit more stable. So DTCK, I'm going to be adding into the drops. Joe, sorry to interrupt.
All right, so yeah, I mean, there it goes, guys. I'm looking at the same names. We can pop over to the scanner and see what we got going on there. Who's putting in the most volume? The SQs on today's session, bang. So there it is to the inverse leverage right there, 2x or 3x, whatever it may be. Now it's starting to climb a little bit higher. TSLA with 71 million, NVDA right there. You can see this wedge that we're looking at. If that breaks, then I think we'll be okay. But as soon as we sit on the backside of that, then we'll get an additional liquidity grab. We'll take 3 strikes on this one to see if we can catch the short on it. But other than that, we're going to keep that risk relatively tight and not go too bonkers on it. There's Cypher mining, not too bad of a look. Hammer candle off of those lows, 24.50, and the low of the day is around 20. So that's a big time move in a $20 name. So $4 right there, as quick as you like. AAL, NVTS on the downgrade side, not too good. Let's take a look from a daily here. Yeah, I mean, you go all the way up to 18. This is an ugly, ugly haircut. Whew, that opened today, 42%. If you guys want to talk about ugly haircuts, I don't know why anybody, I shouldn't say that actually because a lot of people want to get involved in this, but you can see from July alone, you're down 45% in MSTR. Yeah, that's a horrible, horrible, horrible look. Sorry, Mr. Michael Saylor, but your preferables and all that financial gibberish you got going on doesn't seem to be working out too well, my friend. For now, that is. Things can absolutely turn around, and I think they will. So don't get too worried. If you, RIP Joe, you're balding pretty bad, says Kaiser Muhammad. I appreciate that, man.
Kidding me, bro?
Pardon me?
What's wrong with this guy?
I don't know, man. I don't know. So yeah, to each their own, brother. I appreciate. I appreciate that. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. As for NVDL, starting again, this trend is holding up. So we're gonna sit in this for a little bit longer. Other than that, I like a potential add on TSLL. If we hold VWAP, then we can get that additional move. But I like Tesla for the break of the low of the day, and then maybe the overall market will get there as well too, Sharif. I think patience is really key as AMD is starting to curl over. The issue is with the overall market is that Apple is so strong. Now we're at 271. This thing is living in its own world. So shout out to Apple. Is Amazon continuing to climb higher? Just going through some of the bigger names. Oh, okay, check this out on Meta, guys. We might have to take this trade. Meta off of those lows. Beautiful indecision print. I'm going to get involved right there. I can tell you right now the algo picked that up.
I know you love those.
Yeah. I got to get that one there.
All right. Check out the algo. Let us know what's going on, Joey. All right, nothing doing for me, guys. We're still holding the same positions. I'm not liking anything other than these two at the moment. It's DTCK and HTZ. I mentioned you guys KXIN. That one will be, I'm not going to get into that unless I see something a lot different. It's just too illiquid. And I don't like all the resistance at 166. I mean, it's not even going to cost me that much to find out here on KXI, and maybe I'll give this one another look. I'm still keeping an eye on TERN. There's nothing doing there, but I want to mention this one to you guys. LWLG had a really nice, clean breakout right at the top of, right at the open, 9:30. It basically did nothing in the pre-market. It had a bit of a nice move yesterday to start, 10 a.m., but this move is quite outsized. But it is dropping down. Now, the good thing is it's coming into a predictable area. That $5.50 level, we got the 50 penny area support, but it's also price action, consolidation support, as well as the volume weighted average price. So I don't know how I feel quite yet about LWLG because I haven't been watching it that intently, but it is coming into key areas of support, and by definition, I need to take it a little bit seriously here because this is kind of what I look for: move into VWAP, move into psychological support, consolidation, previous areas of consolidation, where it could find buyers. So LWLG warrants its own trading screen, and that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to throw on a trading screen for that name and take a look at the book. LWLG on the NQ, I'm hoping. Yes, very nice. All right, LWLG. How are we looking here, Joey? We're looking about a 4 penny spread. Not too bad. How many shares we done? 2 1/5 million on the day, almost 2 1/4 million. Not great, but not bad. It's a $5.50 name. I'm going to weasel in. And I'm going to give it to the breach of 40. So I'm going to weasel in. I'm going to go ahead, like be 7 or 8 pennies worth of risk. Or sorry, 12 pennies worth of risk. So we're going to go long. We're not even getting the print. Jeez Louise, talk about, give me 52s? You gave me 52s, attaboy. All right, so let's go ahead and throw out that order there for the stop so we get stopped out through the breach of 40, and that's what's doing there. Let's go ahead and wait a little bit higher here, maybe for 59er, and then we're gonna wait at 69er, right? We're gonna take both of those, hopefully. So that's what I'm doing with LWLG. Let's see if it finds a bit of a bid. Okay, moving up already in the 55s. Let's see if the VWAP buyers want to step in here and bring this one up. So that's the focus there. But I got to keep my eye on DTCK because it's right back into my entry, rejecting 4 again. I don't want to paper hand this trade, especially if it's going to take out 4. And we haven't broken trend, quite frankly, where we haven't put any new area lows, or any candles to make a new low. So I don't want to take this out too quick. I am alive to the fact that it's got a couple of topping tails, but yeah, I know, Trav, man, I'm keeping an eye on it, brother, because it looks a little bit, I don't know. We'll see on DTCK. Last but not least here, HTZ continues to hang out near $7. I've got a next order north of 7, so we either get stopped out or we take out $7 for a flat top break, Joey. I want to also mention there's a what's it called? What are these things called? IPOs. Sorry, beta, BETA on the NYSE, a new IPO. It's got a current tap of $38. Let me find out what the actual IPO price was for institutional buyers. Here is the headline. Raises over $1 billion in IPO. What's the IPO price? $34. Okay. Beta Technology is set to debut on the NYSE today after pricing an upsized IPO at $34. What's the top rate now? We're seeing 38. So good. It was already oversubscribed at the IPO level, and it's already looking to open up a little bit higher. I guess we've been showing a tap here of 38 to 41. I personally haven't seen 41. I've just seen 38, but the fly reporting that it did move up into 41. Last but not least, Joe, I just want to tell them what the imbalance locator is on this one. So we're going to take a quick look, switch from Nasdaq to the NYSE, and see if it's showing up here on the scanner. Let's go by size. Beta not coming in, so let's go paired volume. There it is, number 3. We have a sell side imbalance of 53,037 shares. We've paired less than 1 million shares, 748,000 shares paired. It's not really sending me, signals of an oversubscribed and an aggressive IPO day. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll continue to report on it for you guys. And if it does open before and I don't see it, please let me know or Joseph know, and then we'll look to execute on that, Joey.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So, yeah, we're in this meta trade here. I got out of NVDL. I talked about it breaking this trend line to the downside. We get out of that. So, unfortunately, we give a little bit back, but that's okay. We're still in some good, solid positions. I think there's going to be a big-time add opportunity here on META. We're going to just be patient and wait for an additional pullback, add a little bit more for that move into the volume-weighted average price. But I like our chances here on the session as Tesla's starting to come back into VWAP as well. That was a nice short continuation all the way to the downside. Now let's see if we can catch this move higher, higher, and higher. I mean, I could probably add right here on META. Don't forget, this is a pretty expensive name. There it goes. You get a nice little pop, man. Why not? I have a little bit of conviction considering how much it's been getting hit as of late. Oversold bounce into the volume-weighted average price. If the market wants to climb higher, I'm sure that it's going to want to participate. So there it is, bang. We're just tripling up our size here and looking for that move into 634. It's either we get it or we don't. At the end of the day, we won't complain. That signal is too much conviction within that, guys. But we're going to send you off to Dara with the crypto segment.
Let's talk about Bitcoin. What I want to do first is look at the 3-minute charts, a little bit more short-term what's been happening. And as you can see, what's been happening is a lot of selling. Once I get a little bit into the catalyst, we're going to zoom out and look for any potential areas of support going back. And we'll look at Ethereum as well, specifically on the daily chart. Starting here with Bitcoin. Basically with crypto, what I'm seeing a lot of people attribute the selling to, and by the way, there's been a lot of selling. A lot of the selling being attributed to the same reasons that the market is selling, or at least was selling earlier today, which is people are looking for flights to safety. Now, there has been a lot of debate. We've even discussed this back and forth on the show as to whether or not Bitcoin is really being seen as a risk asset, an equity, or more of a safe haven. Looks like right now people are treating this as a little bit of a risk asset, and they're flying to safety in other areas. We talked about strength in the DXY. We're not seeing that same strength here in the in Bitcoin here, BTC, or even Ethereum. We had some comments coming from Ed Engel, an analyst over at Compass Point, and he said that potentially what part of this is sure, you have long-term holders selling Bitcoin and crypto, but you also don't really have the same level of retail engagement and that buying, that enthusiasm to the upside that we've necessarily seen in the past. Ed Engel, again, same analyst from Compass Point, saying that he sees some support potentially at 95K, but he thinks Bitcoin can actually break below that 100,000 level and that there aren't really a lot of near-term positive catalysts. If we go to the daily chart, as you can see, we haven't been below 100K since June of 2025. So it's been a few months. We just broke below that most recent support going back to a couple Fridays ago. So BTC certainly on a bit of a decline. Let's see if we can find that 95,000 level of support that was mentioned here by Ed Engel. Ethereum, meanwhile, breaking through its own recent area of support from another Friday. That Bitcoin support was from Friday, October 17th. Ethereum support from Friday, October 10th. Also being blown through, guys. So long story short, lots of weakness in Bitcoin. As of right now, flight to safety is certainly not happening in these crypto names. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Back to you.
There goes Hertz into the area high, 710 HTZ. Flat top break through $7. Good accumulation. This is the best looking Mag 7 name for now. Underline that, for now. It can change in a heartbeat. That's just the way these bad boys have their life. That's the way they run their life. So HTZ. Now, what's the deal? To me, again, we haven't cleared 7 by substantial enough amount for me to say, look, I'm going to add into that area of previous resistance, now support, aka 7. Really, it's not going to work out that way for me. So I'm going to try to base my entries off the 10 EMA. The 10 EMA is still hanging out in the high 80s. I want to say 89, 88, in and around that area. So we'll see what we get there, and we won't get upset. Shout out to my man Neil. LWLG, we're still holding on to that bad boy, an area print on my chart, but we are at the level where I'm supposed to be taking a print, namely 58. Let's see if we can work back above that. We have to cross the spread over here, 55 on the bid, 58 on the ask. But the problem is, there it is, now we're breaking out through that level, so we get the quick print there on LWLG 61 showing up. Now you know where I'm waiting next. We're waiting at 69. I am alive to the fact that we still have a downtrend here on the 5-minute. Give me an opportunity just to show you what I'm talking about. So just because we popped off above this area of resistance, local area of resistance, doesn't mean we're going to break the downtrend, and we very clearly are in a downtrend from that 588 high. So I don't want to celebrate too quickly. If we can kind of get above these levels and start trending above, you know, the 2/3 of a dollar, then I'll feel a whole lot better. Until that time, I'm going to look at LWLG with suspicion. You know, because you just never know with these ones. You always have to just trust them, Joey. Because they'll break your heart, bro. They'll break your heart. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Those are the three. I got back into DTCK. I got stopped out. It is at the 10 EMA. So what I've done is there was a bottoming tail, an inverse hammer candle that breached the 10 EMA. That went into 70. So what I've done is I've based my entry and my stop based upon that hammer candle, that red candle. So let's see. Oh, now we're moving up. Okay, so we just got in at 82s. We took the print at 88s. Nice hammer candle there, 92. We're moving on up again. Let's see if we can clear some of these levels. Good buying coming in here off the 10. Let's see if we can clear 4. There it is, 94 as we get another print into that level. So now let's see if we can cross 4. So I'm keeping an eye here on DTCK, HTZ, and LWLG. We're going to the big desk.
I have a couple notes for you guys here that are news related. One is PZZA. This one is spiking. Now we know Papa John's has had on and off buyout speculation going back to, I believe, October 13th. Now we have even a little bit more pizza takeover speculation here coming through on X. Again, not new, same kind of deal involving a potential Apollo deal, this time with Earth. But either way here, PZZA still popping as we get that renewed buyout speculation. Now, before I send you guys back to Joe and Sharif, I do want to mention these airlines. As you can see, UAL, a little bit of a flush lower on the most recent 3-minute candle. AAL did the exact same thing, and that could be because we got some cautious commentary from Sean Duffy, who is the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, or the DOT. He just said that they might need to close some airspace if the U.S. government shutdown continues. Now, as we know, he's not been the only member of the Trump administration who has been a little bit cautious, specifically about the airline space and airspace in general with the shutdown. We know J.D. Vance also said the airline industry could be in for a, quote, disaster if the shutdown continues into Thanksgiving. So keep an eye on airlines and PZZA as we send you back to Sharif and Joe.
DTCK right back up to 4, baby. Good ad there into the 10 EMA. Shout out to Fluffy Hippo. She's like, yo, bro. I don't even want to say it, Joey. Were you just charging the handle right there? Oh, I know you're the pal guy here. I know you're the pal guy. All right.
This guy.
We're doing it freaking live here on DTCK. There it goes back into 4. We're 20 pennies or so in the money, looking for that 404 print. Shout out to the highway. If you're not from Toronto, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's all good there. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. Shout out to LWLG as well, baby. Look at this one. Break trend right into the high. We get 69 print. Now we're waiting. Sorry, we didn't get the 69 print. We got 65. Now we're waiting at 69, 75, and 82. This one looks, for the moment, like it may have broken trend, but you never really know with these bad boys. Looking for the next print, Joey, a penny away.
Absolutely, guys. All right. I mean, we were a couple dollars almost there in the money on this META trade. We're going to hold this until we get into 634, the volume weighted average price. I just have that much conviction. I just recalled why the algo didn't pick this up. It makes a lot of sense. Can't obviously tell, but it's still a good print. I like our chances right there. Closes as a complete hammer. A breath here and there isn't going to faze me. I think it's just going to be an add opportunity. Maybe we head up into 635, considering we're still negative on the session, roughly just about 0.8%. So that's not too bad. It's just surviving the pullbacks at this point and just holding. So there it is, guys. You see the average at this peak. We're up at 633.50, which is not too bad of a look. But in the meantime, as we're holding on to Meta, looking for additional add opportunities, which I believe there's going to be one right here. We're going to take a look at the top performing sectors of the day and see what we got going on that front, Sharif. All right, leading the way. Is it LLY? Healthcare up 0.5%. Financials as well too. The real estate sector, XLRE. Keep an eye out for that one. Not doing too bad, up about 1/5. 1 second Adara. Energy sector down 1 1/5. Industrials 1 1/5. And then we have the technology
1 1/5
sector. No, 1 3/4, my friend. Dara, what do you got for us?
The MTSR, Novo Nordisk, and Pfizer saga continues. Now, in case you guys missed it, we know that last week Pfizer announced their first of now 2 lawsuits against Novo Nordisk. They're a little bit upset that Novo Nordisk is outbidding them for their attempted acquisition of MTSR. Now, the latest update is apparently today a Delaware judge says that she doesn't really see the need to involve the court in this bidding war at all. That being said, she did schedule another hearing at 3:15 p.m. tomorrow to review the process. So again, 3:15 p.m. Eastern, we're going to get another hearing here from MTSR, Novo Nordisk, and Pfizer. Just to recap as well, if you were not aware, MTSR has actually said that they prefer Novo Nordisk's offer because it is actually higher than the offer they got from Pfizer. But Pfizer today in their earnings call said that they are still committed and they think they're the right partner here for MTSR. This is MTSR, obviously quite strong on the day, guys. Back to you.
All right, good stuff, guys. One more ad. I said why not, right? So shout out to why not in the chat. I have conviction within this trade to get back towards the volume weighted average price, even 634. So you can see that we take a little bit of a dip right here. Bought up immediately after. That's going to give me a little bit of sign of strength. So I like our chances, but that's obviously going to lift our average up a little bit here as well. So hopefully that this support level holds as a consolidation before you take an additional leg. The downtrend has snapped. Yeah, for sure.
I got it.
All right, you got it right there. All right, guys, make sure you get those dollar signs in and you vote for Sharif so you can do the afternoon rundown and know what you guys want to talk about. There is the stock visualizer.
Hertz is number one. It warms my heart.
All right.
It warms my heart. All right, guys, exaggerating for effect, as I typically do. Hertz with 69, say it ain't so. 69 subs there. Palantir, surprised with that, 68. We got Meta with 69 as well. AMD, 57 votes there with Nvidia in at 32. We got HIMS reporting earnings after the bell yesterday, and they've got 27. Likewise with Tesla, very much in focus as Elon Musk's pay package comes to the fore this week. It's going to be voted on. Bull, Amazon also on their BYND. Your boy, were you? No, Neil was short BYND. I saw him earlier. IREN continues to do its thing, 25. SoFi and the dead one, Apple. It ain't dead, but you know, I'm not going to stop calling it that. AAPL, the best performing Mag 7 name on the day. We'll have to see how the day closes out, Joey, but make sure to vote. You got to throw in that dollar sign, though. Otherwise, Fabian gets very upset. Joey, oh my goodness gracious. I had a sick pun, but I'm not going to use it. There goes Dick through the highs, 431 highs, guy. Shout out to Fluffy Hippo, man. She made me get back into this one. Here comes the $0.50 on DTCK. The bid is on right now, 45 showing up. Here we go. We're going to take it out right there into 48s. There's 50 right now on DTCK. Beautiful move. Second day play, a lot of gas. No breaks yet, Joey, but something tells me, I've seen these ones trade before, the breaks are coming.
All right, the breaks are coming. All right, guys, let's keep an eye out on the tape here with Meta. I have the quote highlights on, but they're going to be too large for this name. You almost have to go like 500. We'll go to 1,000 to see if we pick anything up, but nothing substantial. But as we ran into that 633 level, you can see the continuous flushes at the bid and below them. So that's something to be a little bit cautious about. But again, conviction within the trade, a red candle here and there. I can't let it spook me out. So here it is. Oh no, why'd I do that? That sucks. All right, that's why I need that new mouse out here, Sharif. So here it is, guys. I gotta stop doing the too. So there it is, guys. A nice consolidation at that specific level. That's gonna put you at the pre-market highs, which we like. Wrapping.
Neil, I can't. No, I wanted to, but I didn't actually drop it.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I promise you I didn't. Sorry to interrupt.
All right, no. Yeah. Good. What were you going to call it?
Neil just wanted confirmation.
Confirmation. We always need a little bit of confirmation. That's for sure. So here it is, guys. We can pull up the volume weighted average price. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. 634 is going to be that primary target where we take over half of the position off. Unfortunately, it's first in, first out, and I am averaging up, looking for that move. Once we break 633, I'm confident enough that we're going to see that next candle being printed. So that's exactly what I'm going to wait for. If the market participates, then I think we're good, but you can see that Tesla, which I'm all out of as it came back into the volume weighted average price, not too bad coming back in here. But again, like our chances, patience. Oversold bounce on META. Let's pull it up on a daily, actually, because I want to take a look at it from that perspective. That can tell us a lot. And also from different time frames as well, like the hourly, et cetera. So there it is. And this is what I was talking about. You get this engulfing print, things are starting to cool down. You keep a look on the at-the-money IV, and sure enough, if that's slowly decaying day by day, then you can say, hey, maybe at some point in the near future, we're going to see a little bit of a move to the top side. So that's one metric that I'm keeping my eye out on. Any forms of indecision, also going to look to participate for a potential swing long. How was I looking at this?
How?
FBL. Okay. Right, FBL options chain really, it's actually, I shouldn't say really liquid, it is liquid, but at the end of the day, things will turn around. Just be patient, wait for that, and then I think there's going to be a monster trade playing this gap fill, whether it's FBL or META.
Joey, I got a question for you, bro, right down your alley.
Yeah.
So say, you want to use one of these leveraged ETFs for one of the Mag 7 names through the options route.
Yeah.
Is there more possible risk to reward if you use the ETFs rather than going through the regular name?
Again, there is and there isn't, right? Like, I wouldn't say there's a definitive strategy. You just have to be aware that obviously in the underlying asset, if you're in the 2x or 3x, it's gonna move obviously that way in either one, right? So it's still reflected within the options pricing. It's just that you have to be cautious on what the actual underlying is. Is there a different risk to reward? No, it's still gonna be the same within the contract. Yeah, you just have to pay attention to what the underlying is actually doing.
One more question. Is there decay in the same way that we have it through the equities?
Absolutely.
There is.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. If anything, you got, well, think about it. Like, obviously, you know this, Sharif. If you look at FBL off of the highs, it's down like 40%, right? Opposed to what Meta actually is, right? So, like, if you go to this peak, you're down substantially. Like, it's not a good you're not having a good time whatsoever. 41%, right? Like, that's a really, really bad time when Meta is only down 20%. But again, you can get that topside move, but the thing is now you need double the amount of the move in the underlying asset to actually get back to those levels. So there it is. This is the pullback right here, guys. We're going to look for an add opportunity in META, and then maybe we can get that move back to VWAP, Sharif.
All right, guys. LWLG is not who I thought it was. Look, we've taken out some over here into the highs. I'm still holding a piece. I'm going to stop out if it breaks the $0.50. We're 3 pennies in the money. That's not what I'm in this for. It looks like it's going to continue its lower high pattern, with just, maybe a momentary breach there with that candle at 11.35. So it doesn't feel like this one's got it today. And in fact, I'm going to flatten out now for a 2-penny winner on the remainder. Beta, I want to remind you guys, we have a new IPO today. The tap currently showing $37 BETA on the New York. The actual IPO price itself was, I believe, $34. It's been trading today on actual, first trading day. The IPO or the tap has been ranging between 38 to 41. They've raised about $1 billion in money with the offering. I don't really know what the company does. I can look it up. It's not going to take all that long, but I just want to let you know we're going to keep an eye out on this one for you. New IPO on the day. All right, let's talk about DTCK. We get top wick. We feel great about it, but now, as Obi says, what is the next trade? Shout out to Ob. He is the one. Kenobi. Here's the deal. I think now we've cleared 4 by a fair enough distance, a substantial enough distance to say, we'll generally use that $4 area, not a strict price of 4, but the 4 area as support. Sorry, my chair keeps sinking. And in addition to that, the 10 EMA on the 5 is like 3 pennies below $4. So that to me is double the area of support that I want. So let's see if we can work in now a little bit. I'm going to go small share size over here, and we're going to go in. We're back into DTCK. We got 11s. Let's go ahead and post some beak wetters here. So in case we get a price spike up, I want to participate. Showing me 11s right now. There seems to be a seller at 11, 10. There's 16. Okay, so can we get a little bit more of a move? I'm waiting at 17s. There is the print already. And there's the other print, Joey, right back up into the $0.25 on DTCK. Setting up at 33s. Let's see if we can take the third of $1. Up 35%. Good hold off 4. Double bottom on the 5-minute chart. I'm talking about the candle at 11.45 and 11.50. Both both of which defended 4. Let's see if we get that continuity over here on my friend DTCK. I've said very little about HTZ in the past, I want to say 20 minutes, because it's been doing bupkis. It's been hanging out at $7. Can't clear 7 decisively, also not losing the 10. I've got 59s on at the moment. I haven't added, despite the fact that it's been hugging the 10 EMA on the 5 since 11:15. So almost 45 minutes now holding the 10 EMA, but not taking 7 decisively. So I have no move right now on HTZ. Let's see what it does. Or HTZ. Shout out to my Americans, who are the majority of the viewers, of course, on this stream. So waiting at 33s next for DTCK. Let's see what we can get up there, Joey. Show me 25s. All right. Good move, good move. Looking for a little bit more of a price spike on this bad boy. Prior candle open, by the way, is 32s. So we're going to have to clear prior candle open. 29s now showing up. We're waiting at 33s. Can we get a nice little price spike and a liquidity grab? 30s now. Here we come. I'm seeing 31s on the time and sales. So not quite yet the print. Packing the patience. DTCK up nicely.
All right, guys, here we go. Yeah, there it is. Right back to our entry price. We add some more. If it cracks lower, then we're just going to get out. But you can see where my average is roughly right now. So I like our chances. I mentioned this, a little conviction, whether it works or not. By all means, it's out of my hands now. I'm executing how I should, not going to get out prematurely. I told you guys the price target is going to be the volume-weighted average price. It either hits this 63.50 first, or we get up to 634 flat, and that's going to be the goal. I'm seeing some prints across the board that are giving me a little bit of vote of confidence. Here it is. If this 5-minute, boom, closes as that hammer, I like it even more. Am I going to add some? Who knows, man? Who knows? I could do anything at this given point. But once again, we like our chances. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin. Has the bleeding stopped? There's still some selling pressure within these candles that you have to keep an eye out on. When you're looking for hammer candles off of the lows, it's really important to look at the details and how they print, right? Like if you see some selling pressure still within that, what does that tell us? That, hey, they're not completely exhausted just yet, and they might have the ability to push price a little bit lower, all right? So just keep that in mind. We'll go over some volume names here momentarily, but I'm super focused on META. I'm in full size right now and looking for the volume weighted average price, as I mentioned multiple times. Now, as for this, let's get this out of my way because I can't see anything. And this coffee, was chugging water, was drinking tea this morning, having a good time. It's chilly in here. Small cap, nah, we want the regular stock scanner and see what we got going on. All right, we're going to head over to Adara momentarily. Back to this scanner to see if anything's catching our eye. This is the daily 5-minute. We'll go through a name first. Ford, IREN, not too liquid. But, I mean, this name was strong in the earlier sessions. Adara, what do you got from us?
Yeah, I'm seeing some stuff here on Microsoft and AAL. I'll start with Microsoft. We know previously, I believe earlier this month, they announced this partnership with Nscale. Now I'm seeing that they committed $23 billion for the space for that data center with Nscale. Also keep an eye here in AAL. This headline is pretty vague. If I have more details, I'll let you know. But American Airlines AAL reportedly going to be cutting, quote, hundreds of corporate jobs, specifically in Fort Worth, Texas. Again, if I get more context here with regards to the percentage of jobs that is in the grand scheme of things, I'll let you know. But either way, AAL making a little bit of a bottom here. Again, hundreds, quote unquote, of job cuts. Back to you.
Yeah, Yum.
Oh, Yum.
Brand. Well, it had that earnings report, bro, and it's looking really good, man.
Oh, you like it? From the intraday? Yum
Laptop break? No?
I mean, there's liquidity issues here. Yeah, right? You see what I'm looking at? We go into the 1 minute. It's even worse from there. It's not too good.
You can just tell by the chart right there.
Yeah. You can tell really quick. And I mean,
that looks like a common gap waiting to get filled.
Yeah. I mean, anything can happen.
Any gaps like that are in the consolidated range, I'm talking. That's a common gap just waiting to get filled.
Yeah. So the chances of that happening are most definitely there. So I mean, not too bad. If you sit on top of this, maybe you can get rocking and rolling. But this thing is a complete repeat offender. There's a lot of consolidation going on here, man. That would give me an absolute, I would be bald in no time owning that thing. It's definitely stressing out heavily on what's going on with that.
We just blocked that guy, bro.
No, that guy was frustrating me. Yeah, good.
Straight
See you
to
later,
jail.
right away, man. Keep talking. Yeah, exactly. Keep talking smack. He won't be talking in here, but no, in all seriousness, Mike Feed the Rider likes that one there. He thinks it's pretty funny. Let's let's see if this candle holds up, guys. If it breaks 63.50, then we have to get out of the trade. Sellers are most definitely in play here on Meta. Again, I just got to go with what the prints are telling me and try to make this the best trade possible. If not, then there's nothing we can do about it but take a little bit of a loss. So, yeah, it's looking like it might come into play, but oh well, it is what it is, Shree.
Yes, sir. Guys, I'm out of DTCK at 35s. It's continuing to hang out, though, right around the $0.25. It hasn't broken trend. I don't want anybody to think that I'm thinking this is breaking trend. It's clearly not. The higher lows are still in play. I just didn't have too many shares, full disclosure. Doesn't mean that I can't get in more. And here we go again, man. It's right at that third of a dollar, and it looks like the buyers are stepping in. There's the orange. You guys see the orange on the time and sales? And look at it, takeout levels. As soon as you see orange, that is exuberant buying. Green and orange on my time and sales. And I know the orange doesn't really look orange. I don't know what color does that look to you right there? That one right there. Is that
It looks a little orange.
It's a little orange,
it's a little
right? It's not as like, it's not pumpkin orange, but it's like darker orange, I guess.
It's dark orange.
Yeah, so if you ever see my screen, guys, and you see green and orange coming in on the time and sales, that's usually a good sign for the longs. If you see red and blue, that's a good sign for the shorts there, but Trump orange. Rex Banner, why, bro? Why? That was a good one, though. All right, DTCK, man, local highs, you know, right back into that 450. That's where we took it out initially. And here we are, man, right back into 440. This one's all gas, no brakes, man. It's a good looker. I'm going to buy more of this when it dips down. If it dips down, I don't like punching in at the highs. You guys know how I roll, and we're about like 10 pennies off the highs right now. So I'm not punching in here. Let's see what we get, though, on DTCK. I don't mind getting in more. And let me give you some levels. So 4, obviously, we talked about as that good level of support, and I think it's cleared 4 by enough of a distance to use it as support. And in fact, it's proven to you that it's going to use 4 support. It got up to 450 and held 4. It dipped down to 403 and bounced right back up. So 4 is definitely a level. But there's also the 10 EMA on the 5, which is at 407 now. So you can, you know, look for the retracements into the 10 exponential moving average on the 5-minute chart for your reloads if it doesn't make it quite back down into $4. LWLG, I mean, I'm positive on this one, but I'm not in love with it. It's starting to show me that it's finding support at the 20 moving average on the 5, but it's not breaking trend. I'm going to wait for a move above 5 2/3 on LWLG. If it gets above 566, you know, let's say maybe works its way into 570, I'm going long this name. That, to me, will be a higher low and another higher high. Let me make my case to you guys on the 5-minute black charts over here. So here's the deal. We were talking about this trend break, right? Lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and it was uninterrupted. But now look at this, the hold of VWAP, and now we're putting in higher lows. So if we can continue with this higher low pattern and then put something above this area of resistance right there at 5 2/3, namely by getting above 70, I'm going long again on LWLG. That to me will be a trend break or a trend change, and that's kind of what I'm involved in these small caps for. So that will be in focus, and there goes Hertz right back up into 7 again. We haven't added anything, though, on Hertz. I think I might have to add a little here, Joey, because we don't have too many shares. What I'm going to wait for is a decided move of a 7 and hold. We have a 712 high a day, which clearly wasn't enough to use 7 as support. So I'm going to wait till if this clears 7, then we'll get a little bit more involved and see what is up with that. Who's spamming? Who's spamming? That moron TAC 9090, he's done. You're out, bro. I'm going to put you in a timeout. You're going to get 24 hours, and then hopefully you won't spam tomorrow. For the moment, though.
Day, man.
Well, dude, he's spamming. I mean, like.
Gotta stop, man.
Yeah, chill out.
It's a zero tolerance day, man.
Zero. This guy, don't get on his backside today.
Zero tolerance.
You can see it.
Man.
All right, shout out to Joey Options. We're gonna take a bit of a pause. We're gonna go to Dare for happening now. Then Neil's got his lesson of the day.
Yeah, this market's certainly not pausing in terms of the level of intrigue that's happened today. We had this gap down. We had this nice push up at open. Now we're actually pushing lower, though still we are making some higher lows off of that pre-market base. Now, why did we drop today? Well, there are a lot of concerns here about potentially things being overvalued specifically in the AI space. Now, there's been some back and forth as to whether or not Michael Burry is actually short, or I guess betting against story names like Palantir and Nvidia. There were some 13Fs going around suggesting that he was, though he posted a cryptic post on X this morning suggesting that maybe he isn't. If we get clarification, of course, we'll let you know. But either way here, this market, specifically with regards to AI fears, is certainly exciting. Bitcoin also selling off especially hard. Now, I want to take a moment here to look at one of the names I just mentioned, if I can get my screen to move. Oh, good, fun times, technical difficulties. Anyways, Palantir is, of course, going to be on watch here with earnings. Now, they did guide better than expected quarterly growth, but it is worth noting that for next quarter, even though they did, like I said, they beat the growth a little bit less than it was this quarter, so there could be some concerns of slowdown. AMD and SMCI report tonight. You can find visuals for both of those in terms of earnings previews on X at TTV Research, and we also have a whole bunch of other earnings names tonight, including Rivian and Kava. Definitely check out the market recap with Sean and myself for more coverage of those names. I cannot do the ad read because I cannot see my screen because I can't move my screen. So we will send you over to Neil at his lesson of the day.
Anybody want to guess what the lesson of the day is going to be? I feel like I'm going to be doing a repeat because I might have said this a million times. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. It's one of the most important things you can say in trading, at least to yourself. But I want to show how you can apply that potentially on a day like today. This is the thing. Oh, I like this one. Carter says, lesson of the day is don't go long BTC. Well, yeah, I mean, maybe that's going to be the lesson of the day. But sometimes you will have a bias in the wrong direction. What you need to, most of the time, what you need to end up doing in trading is very simple. You apply more capital to winning strategies and you apply less capital to losing ones. But that's not just in the long run. In the short run, you've got to be thinking that way as well. So when I came in today, the stocks that I actually liked to the short side, I said sympathy to Palantir Lumen, Bitcoin, AMD, and then Intel on a trend break, which we talked about yesterday. So Lumen, right off the open, fails the high. Okay, that's working. We'll trade at that level. Uh-oh, it stops out a couple times. It doesn't really follow through. Then we try it as it breaks through VWAP. Okay, now we stop out. But here's the thing. Once it doesn't work here, now you've got a wipeout bottom, you've got a trend reverse from the low, you've got it holding over VWAP. Nothing about this says a short anymore. So I stop shorting it until what happens? I might get into this again, but if I do, it'll be because, I don't know, like that, I'm like forcing it for that trend to break, but why not? The VWAP trend, which will have to break under VWAP, or maybe it continues and goes up for the rest of the day and I shorted like somewhere around here, like 2 or 3 o'clock. That's the kind of thing that I'm waiting for. AMD, similar story. Like AMD, I mean, AMD didn't actually ever really set up the short that well. You can make the argument here into the prior high it did, but I waited, just like I'm now waiting for Lumen, for it to set up a trend reversal. And from the trend reversal here, it's essentially been a short at basically the same price, around 256. First short gives you a buck, reload, stopped out, shorted it again underneath, trailed out, shorted it again, able to get 254.50. So really pretty successful shorting, waiting for something to happen, because the initial short's wrong. Like it's a long all the way until it turns into my short idea. But the other side of that coin is to do more of what is working. Do less of what isn't working, or be patient and wait till it set up, and do more of what is working. So when Intel was the only thing working, we just said, okay, fine, if this is going to continue to work, then just always short this one at VWAP. Because notice the one thing I was only in all morning was Intel. Why? Because it was the only thing that was continuously trending down that I was trying to trade. Now, there is another side to this coin. Yeah, AMD ends up being good, Intel's is good, so both those are better than any losing traders I have, so I'll be up today. However, there is another side and an opportunity cost. Because if I was stubborn about it, I wouldn't have gotten away from IBIT. If I was stubborn about it, I shorted Bitcoin right at the pre-market high, it stopped me out, didn't jump back in. Then when it broke out here, my plan of action was to wait for a test of the prior low. You would have heard me say it. It's still trending up. I didn't have any kind of, there was no real trend break for me. There wasn't really a third point in here that set up the trend break. So if I'm stubborn about Bitcoin and don't get away from it to trade Intel and wait for AMD to set up, fine, both those are wins. If I was stubborn about IBIT, it would have worked. But here's the thing. I have to treat this as if, okay, I didn't have a good setup on IBIT. It wasn't an A+. It was trending up. So I've got to ask myself, if I'm stubborn about this and get this win, what would have happened if I was, like, say, equally stubborn about, say, an AMD shorting it early or shorting it in here on this move? It's what would that cost me versus what I would win on IBIT. So that's what I have to ask myself. And usually the answer to me is just don't worry about it, in order to be a little bit disciplined and be up on a day like today where the short was wrong for so long. Is sometimes it'll mean that I don't have this one. And that's okay. And it has to be okay. Because in order to make the trade, you've got to be willing to miss the trade. So many traders are like, I've got to have every massive winner out there, that you don't realize there are some of them that will require you to trade in a way or break a rule that in the long run is going to be a loser. So I'd rather have that Intel short, which was easier, lower risk, showed you pretty much easy entries and never really went against too much and was pretty standard, than try to make the home run happen where there are lots of ways that you could have gotten blown up today trying to get that home run trade to the south side. So, part of the question that a lot of traders have to ask themselves, how do you control your losses? There are going to be some instances where today dodging a few bullets and being up today meant missing out on Bitcoin, which would have been the best short and would have been my best stock. That's par for the course, and part of it, I can live with it because it was a tough day for the shorts this morning. So there's no question, if you're going to mitigate that risk, you're going to have missed out on a good reversal here or there. And that's okay. And your lesson of the day, it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. That's the thing about trading. I mean, ultimately, it's an easy thing for me to say. It's not easy in practice. Hopefully, a couple of examples today help you do a little bit better in your trading, because I find if you're not honest in your reflection, then you're not going to get anywhere. Good luck, everybody.
Before I send you over to the guys, I do want to mention Apple AAPL. I'm seeing this report circulate quite a lot here. Bloomberg reporting that the company is working on a budget Mac laptop. They're planning on pricing, quote, well below $1,000. This would be their first product in that budget category for the laptop, or specifically the Mac laptop. And apparently they're planning on launching this in H1 2026. So that's pretty soon, guys. Also seeing some Google-related news. Apparently, Google unveiling their Project Suncatcher to help develop a space-based machine learning. They're also partnering with Planet to launch 2 prototype satellites by early 2027. So Apple entering the budget laptop space, Google apparently entering the space, for lack of a better term, as we thank our friends at Orogenics, OGEN, because each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S., but there is still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed Orogenics, OGEN, is changing that with its first-in-class intranasal drug designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Orogenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more and schedule a meeting today. Back to you guys.
It's the thing. All right. Sorry, I'm just going back and forth here with LWLG, trying to see if I should get back in, but let's cut the crap, Joey. DTCK is the one we all thought it was. What a move in the 482 high a day. We're up 47%, excuse me. We're down obviously off the highs though into 460, 482 HOD. But look, man, the trend has not broken. We're still putting in higher lows basically on every candle. Okay, we just closed one candle now that I need to bring your attention to. It's a candle of indecision and could spell trouble. So this is the candle I'm talking about. You have equidistant upper and lower wicks with almost a negligible body over here. That means there's an equilibrium, at least at this candle, between buyers and sellers. And here comes the price action. We're about to drop into 450. Be on the lookout though for the lower low. We just got the lower low. We haven't gotten a lower low since this candle over here, this 1130 candle, which ended up being a red hammer candle nonetheless, but still that did print a lower low. Since that time, it's been higher lows unabated. This one dipped down, I believe, into 440s, 443. But it looks like it's going to lose more. Now, let me give you the levels. There's a 430 level off which the 10 EMA is trading. That could be an interesting area. Then we obviously have 4. 4 was a very, very staunchy resistance level as evidenced here by the topping tail candle at 1055 and yet again at 1120. So 4 for me, very important on DTCK. Whether or not it makes it down into 4 and gives you that opportunity, that's a different story. I'm going to be looking first and foremost at 430 for the 10 EMA. Doesn't mean I'm going to punch in there. I'm going to watch to see if I like what I see. So that's the first thing there on DTCK. And then last but not least, I wanted to mention LWLG. I was talking to Joseph off camera about this. I see this as just a very clean uptrend, but it does feel, yes, the buyers are buying this up at higher levels on every successive 5-minute candle, but not enough to make any higher highs. So I don't know how I feel about this one, man. It's just, it's not the best one in the bunch. So maybe I should focus my brain power on something else, Joey. LWLG, the one I'm talking about. And obviously, we're involved in HTZ. Nothing doing there. Is it still hug 7?
All right, man. Yeah, you don't want to be expending that mental capital for sure, guys. Again, here it is. This is our level. As soon as it breaks, then we're going to get out of it. You take a loss, but oh well. You got to take those shots, man. Shooters got to shoot at the end of the day, regardless of what the situation is, and that's what we are. We shoot, man. So I like our chances. I told you this before. I don't need to justify myself or anything like that. Bang. So let's go over some other names. If you guys are looking at anything specific, let me know. A buddy of mine, we're going over some options activity last night on Meta. What I did like around this 630 level is a potential put wall as well. Let's see if that's starting to hold up. See, there's the largest amount of open interest right here, right at 630. We're a couple points above that right now, a point to be exact, roughly. We're trading at 631. So if we get a bounce off of it, then bang, that's going to be nice, right? So that's what we're looking at. A high bid, oh my days, I don't even want to know what this thing's trading at right now. 57.47. Oh, it's a disaster. Shout out to the crypto space and all the crypto individuals. I'm with you on that one, but it is what it is, folks. We can only accept it for what they're going to just continuously liquidate, and it's going to be tough, I think, to grab the bottom on this. So just continuously sell calls against your position if you're long IBIT or anything along those lines. That's the route that I'm specifically taking. There you go. You just get a dollar pop essentially in META all the way back up to 631.50 is roughly 632 and touching. Let's see how the sellers react. Are they fully engaged, or can we snap this downtrend? This is what I was telling Sharif. I'm like, man, this is acting like an American missile defense system right here. This downtrend, yeah, the Patriot, whatever it is, it's doing its job accordingly. So yeah, once that breaks, I like our chances up into 633, 634, going over the same names. Amazon looking like it wants to put in a solid print as well off of these lows. Can see, yeah, there's Zon. You know, what do you know about the Zons, man?
I just know Obi says it all the time.
No,
what is the Zon? Explain.
The Zonic, right? We call them the Zons.
Okay,
yeah, the hockey boys call them the Zons.
There's advertising all over that bad, but you know they're on television,
yeah,
right?
Dude,
which is very unusual.
It's like in between all the baseball games. Yes. It's like, oh yeah, I love it.
And they got that like disclaimer.
Yeah.
Only to be used by adults trying to quit smoking. Yeah. Highly addictive product.
It's like, yeah, thanks for the heads up there. But no, in all seriousness, there it is, a nice little pop there. Let's get off this FBL and put on something else. Okay. MSTR, how you doing today? Not too good. We went over those names not too long ago, but there it is. Hold on to it. Stick those guns. Shout out to my guy Gorev. I haven't seen Los Pollos in the chat yet. I know Jay, you've been in the chat as well too. BTC 100K, absolutely.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We're gonna go south of it. I told you guys. I could be totally wrong, but it's gonna get worse before it gets any better. And it's unfortunate for Mr. Saylor. I don't think he cares because he'll probably just try to buy some more down here, and I think that's kind of the smart thing to do. Even if it goes into the 90s or anything like that, I wouldn't be surprised if we seen like 89 or something absolutely ridiculous. But the thing is, though, we know with Bitcoin that a couple of days it can put in like 2 10K sessions, and then sure enough, you're right back towards those highs. But you are now, if we're at 100K, you're 26% off of that previous all-time high, which was around 126. is not very much fun. Now, is it? But what we're starting to have a little bit of fun in is this trade. Let's see if that can hold up. We'll go through a couple more options activity. I talked to, this is what I really wanted to point out, and this is what I'm happy about selling the 66s for. This was way out. So what expiration cycle was I on? That's going to be November 21st. Look at, okay, so no, 65 is, yeah, so 116,000 contracts, guys. That's a call wall if you ask me, right? That is a shout out to Paul Wall, exactly. Soon to be, if this meta hit streak, my mouth's gonna be looking like a disco ball for sure. But at the end of the day, there it is. That's a call wall, 110%. You fade anything off of those levels. I'm long these 65 calls May expiration, but I'm short these 66 calls on this expiration cycle. And I collected $70 per contract combination. So I'm essentially almost 50% of the value of those. So that's what I want to see. And that's what we like. I closed my previous ones that were supposed to expire by the end of next week. Right, we collected 65 to 70% of the premium on that and just rolled them over because essentially that's the smart thing to do. Collect more premium, you sell it on those pops, especially if you don't have that much conviction and you have time. But at some point, I have to come to the conclusion, whether it be in the new year, do I want to be holding on to these contracts for that long? Not necessarily, no. Will I? Let's see how the price action is. If I see any form of indecision prints at the lows and through some key support levels, maybe I'll add another contract or two. That will put me relatively heavy. Again, 8 contracts is like, okay, hey, we don't want to blow the account up, but we want to also put on some substantial size and try to make the most out of the trade. Is it working out right now? But again, I have conviction. I like it. I have confidence in it. Maybe just not right now, but be patient.
Joey, I just want to ask for a favor from you. Yusuf Atif, he's talking about Webull. He's got 20 sold puts expiring in 3 days at $11.
Okay.
Unsure to roll to after earnings or get assigned or take a $2,000 loss now, honestly. Can we look at something
absolutely.
for bull on? I mean, I can do the TA, but he's asking, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so he has 11, right? So 11, that 11 strike price.
He 20 sold puts expiring 3 days at $11.
Yeah. So I mean, you can take that loss or you can roll them over. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, you're selling puts. If you want to own those shares at $11, but I think you're better off just going down a couple strike prices because this thing's been getting smoked as of late. I thought there was like going to be a couple opportunities for it to bounce off of some bottoms, but that hasn't been the case. Like it's just continuously selling, which is not a good look whatsoever. Like I was trying to snipe this one around this neck of the woods to say, hey, maybe we get a bounce in Webull, but no, continuously bleeding. So a rollover to 8.5 or $8 isn't bad. Obviously, you're gonna have to pay the difference, but if you want to own them at $8, maybe that's not gonna be too horrible. I don't know how much more this thing can bleed. Let's do a quick comparison. Hold on, I'm gonna do this quick. As for Robinhood, we know that this name was a couple dollars at one point. Like, look, it's $7.65. I'm not saying that Webull is Robinhood, but who's to say that won't happen in that scenario?
And now for some exciting news out of Canada for the sophisticated traders on the stream. Beta Pro by Global X Canada. That's Canada's largest provider of leveraged, inverse, and inverse leveraged ETFs. They've just launched 6 new triple leverage ETFs. They're offering you guys 3 times bull as well as 3 times bear exposure to the S&P TSX 60. We're talking about semiconductors as well as U.S. Treasuries. And if you want even better, they're offering a special fee rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points, all up until, New Year's Eve of this year, December 31st, 2025, plus the U.S.-focused strategies, they use currency hedging, which offers the potential for pure performance as well as exposure. So if you're a tactical, sophisticated trader and you're looking to amplify your performance, you need to check out betapro.ca/3x daily to learn more. Shout out to the good folks there. All right, thank you for that, Joey. I do appreciate that. Guys, I'm back into DTCK. We're in at 45, and we went the beak all the way up into 63. It's holding the 10 EMA quite well. I haven't seen a breach of the 10 EMA wick, close or otherwise since the candle at 11:35, and that one ended up closing above the 10 EMA. So let's see if we can get above prior bar high. Prior bar high is 63 exactly, off which I got the beak wetter. But this candle has a higher low, but no higher high yet. So my out is based on prior bar low. We're going to try to ride trend with this bad boy here. You guys are also talking about BYND, so let's talk about it, man. I mean, look, it's up 3.5%. It's got what could be a double top possibly here at $150. I'm not trying to call a double top, but I'm seeing resistance at the 150. You got the first initial area of resistance at that $150 at 10 a.m. And then we just moseyed on up there not that long ago at a quarter after the hour, 12:15 or so. And now we're losing trend again, breaking into the low 40s. So BYND in focus. Let me do some TA over here and have a quick look and see where some of the technical levels on BYND are. This is the daily. That's not what we want. We want the 5. All right. So the 10 EMA, look, it looks like it's finding support at the 20. Okay. That's a yellow line right there. It does wick below it, but it's quick to retrace right above it. I'm talking about the yellow line finding support for BYND. You know, you could try picking it up off 42, 41, 40. I think those are the money fills. You get that. Look for continuation to the $0.50 with the beak in front of the $0.50 though, because as you've seen on the day, it's certainly an area of at least intraday resistance. So BYND, not a bad look, not up big though. I know it's a retail favorite. To me though, I don't know if I want to jump into that bad boy today. So we're gonna let that one do its thing, 25 for now. So shout out to BYND. All right, new super chat there. Ooh. But before we get to the super, I just want to remind you guys, get into the chat and vote every day. I mean, it's super easy. You guys are throwing the tickers in anyway. You want Joseph and I to look at it. So make sure you're throwing in that $sign preceding the ticker. And then it automatically registers, and then we'll have what you guys want to talk about on the afternoon rundown with the big kahunas, Neil and Sean. They're going to give you their look on what they think about the name, whether it's still tradable on the day or whether the best trade is behind it, so to speak. So get into the chat right now and vote for your favorite tickers. But let's cover the super first. On the Rail TV, shout out to $10 super chat, my man dropping Cashola in the chat, and he wants to talk about mRNA. And I know this monster had it had a report not a report, but it had a headline last week. So let's do a little daily TA start so we can know. Oh my goodness. I don't get happy for this because I know they got good technology here that they can use for other purposes.
And a lot of people have money in that stuff too. Man.
Yeah, and I never want to pound the table when I know some people added the money, but it's an ugly chart, Joey. And you know, look, we're not going to have a pandemic every year, every 10 years. So we're not going to have price action like this. Intraday though, I don't like it at all. Not for me, right? Does it have discernible price action? Sure, we're at a support level right now. So this level we got back into, you know, on the 30th of October, as well as we danced with it on the 29th. It looks like it's that 24.25. That's when we got the big move up. I remember that day was the day before Halloween, a Thursday. mRNA had a big boy day. I think from top to bottom, we were about 20%. And look at that. We're giving back the entire freaking move, man. I mean, geez Louise. Yeah, so look, 24.25. Area support on the multi-day time frame, but you know, I'm not going to tell you to go long. I apologize on mRNA. And if you're asking me from an investment perspective as well, or a swing, it doesn't have it right now. Let it break out. Let it, you know, show you that the trend to the downside is done. Higher highs, higher lows, move above the 200, move above the 50. Otherwise, I steer clear of it, Joey.
All right, cool, guys. For too long, trading meant risking your own money or never having enough to start. The fear of losing, that's what kept so many traders on the sidelines. But that's changing. Trade the Pool is transforming how traders access the markets. With its limited risk trading model, traders use funded capital while Trade the Pool absorbs the downside. This allows traders to focus on what truly matters: discipline, consistency, and growth. When you hit the profit target, you keep 70% of the profits. No fear, no barriers, just real opportunity. This is the revolution of limited risk trading, powered by Trade the Pool. Visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now to check the link in the description and get 10% off your evaluation. All right, guys, what do we got? Long TQ said Gorev. All right, brother, let's go. After that selling, I mean, we had the TQs put in a new low of the day. Tesla put in a low of the day as well, too. We were out at this, but it looks like that was a solid reload opportunity right there, guys. Boom, as that second leg to the downside was monstrous. Oh, my days. If we rode that the whole way, that would have been a beautiful, beautiful session. But that's not the case, and that's what if history. We don't do that stuff. So if there's anything HIRT I'm seeing in the chat, I've never heard of this one. This might be iHeart. Oh, okay, iHeart Media. Okay, so there's iHeart. We have that in the city, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that's
Radio?
yeah. Is that the same? Is this part of the pair? No. Okay, all right.
No.
So there you go. Shows you how much I know. But not too bad of a look from a daily perspective. If you go to April, man, this is a couple cents. You get a couple 100% on that one. So iHeart, I hope you are doing fantastic on that. What else do we looking at? Hertz Sharif. I know you've been covering that one all day.
Yes,
HRTZ, right? No, what is it?
HTZ.
HTZ, yeah. Shout out to Hertz. That's the place where I get all the vehicles that I rent when we go to Jamaica. So shout out to HTZ and company. I don't know if I ever told. So one time I hit a rock on the side of the road in Jamaica, and it was just me by myself in the car. And yeah, I had to no, it was me and my uncle. So I went to go pick my uncle up. I hit the rock, and my dad's like, "Yeah, come back soon." And then I'm wearing all white. And I go back to me, my dad, he's like, "Why are you so dirty?" Because I had to change the tire. Yeah. I'm like, I didn't even give him a straight answer. He didn't even really care at the end of the day. But he still, to this day, I was a teenager at the time, doesn't know that I popped the tire. So
it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. No, I popped the tire. There's a spare. So I took the tire, and then I brought it to a local shop guy, fixed it up for 20 Canadian dollars for me. Gave him a couple extra dollars. And said, "Thank you, my friend."
Knows how to take care of people.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll never forget that, man. That was a great time. Yeah, my dad's like, "Yeah, come," because we were cleaning my grandfather's grave. There's a lot of weeds around it. He's like, "Yeah, go pick up your uncle to do the work, and then come back later." And I'm like, and sure enough, I'm wearing all white, and then it wasn't so white anymore after that. So yeah, Joey, you're such a Libra. Why is that, Fluffy Hippo? Why do you think so? I am a Libra though. I have fullest. So yeah, full disclosure. All right, guys, what do we got? Getting a nice little bounce in the market. I mean, we snapped through some key support levels. The thing that wow, okay, wait a Toronto slang that. The thing that frustrated me about NVDA is that I had a strong hunch that this was going to happen, because this is what these names tend to do. It's the same thing with the likes of Apple. Get this downtrend. I'm like, oh, okay, beautiful. This is going to work in my favor. Let's short when price is really starting to compress down here. Oh, no, not enough liquidity absorbed. So you'd have to grab it up around 202 to get involved down to that move to 199.66. And then it just gets instantly bought up after that. So, Jojo, how's your family in Jamaica since the hurricane? You know what? I haven't even asked my dad how the house is. I should probably get on that. Yeah, but he would have told me otherwise if things were destroyed.
Yeah, you would have
we're more mainland. So I don't know how affected it was, but I think everything's okay. Otherwise, he would have definitely mentioned and be like, "Hey, man, I need money to fix the house." But no, that's not the case.
I'm hoping everything obviously is good, Joey. I mean, I have a buddy as well. He's got family there, and they're in the mountains. They got a whole different type of shellacking. They didn't get the water; they got the wind.
The wind destroys
so
everything.
A lot of they were without electricity. They were like one of the last people to get electricity. As
really?
Well. Yeah, because they're up in the mountains, so it's not an easy place to navigate. Guys, we got to pause for a second. Adira's got news at the big desk.
I do, and it actually is a headline involving Nvidia, so keep an eye here on NVDA. Sky News here out of the UK reporting that Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is set to meet with Liz Kendall, who is the UK Technology Secretary. So again, Nvidia is set to meet here, Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang set to meet with the Secretary of Technology in the UK, who goes by the name of Liz Kendall. So it looks like some kind of Nvidia UK deal. We know Nvidia, of course, already has deals in the UK, but either way, be aware of this. Not seeing as of right now when that meeting is supposed to be. Back to you.
Are you noticing, have you been following the beef between, not beef, but it's like he said kind of thing between Doug Ford and Mark Carney?
No, what is going on? No.
So you know Big Dougie ran the ad, and it pissed off Donald, President Trump, of course, right? And he cut off negotiations with Canada, which still haven't restarted.
Yeah.
Okay? And so Carney, or Prime Minister Carney, apologized to President Trump, despite many people calling President Trump a liar for saying he said that. Then Prime Minister Carney came out and said that he actually did apologize. But I'm assuming you realize, that their beef between the premier now and the Prime Minister, because Doug Ford is saying he ran it by Prime Minister Carney. Prime Minister Carney's like, yeah, he ran it by me. I told him not to run it. And I called him a couple times from Asia. I told him to pull it. He didn't pull it. And Doug Ford's like, I remember the conversation differently. I was like, what the hell does that even mean?
Somebody's lying.
You know what I mean? Somebody's lying there. I'd like to know who.
A lot, yeah,
right?
yeah. Someone's really lying there, man.
Absolutely. Guys, I know you guys have been asking about the red circles we're wearing there. This is a poppy. It's a flower that grows, obviously, in Europe, and it's a symbol of remembrance for the World War veterans who died, all the men before us who passed away. We pay tribute to them. What day is it? Remember, it's the 11th day of the 11th hour, right? So November 11th, the 11th month, exactly, and thank you for that. We pay tribute, obviously, to all the fallen soldiers, so we wear this from the beginning of November to the 11th, and we'll continue to wear it every day, obviously, to pay respect for everybody. And I just want to mention that because sometimes we always get those questions. It's a
the Middle East too. No?
British tradition, and obviously Canada took that and continued to do it, Joey. So that's the look there. All right, guys, here's the deal. We're holding still here HTZ as it zigs and zags with 7. I'm gonna, breakout now on HTZ. Here we go. That's a new high a day, 712. We've got 59s on. The volume just spiked up. There's a seller at 12. I'm at 15. 13 high a day now on HTZ. Let's see if we can get up a little bit more. Nope. It looks like that seller is gonna come in there. Here we go, showing 10s, but a bit of a sell order coming in now on HTZ. Look, I'm gonna wait for 15s, and then we're gonna add. All right, but I want to see this one clear 7. Look at that. Price spikes up above 7, and then right back down into 7 it goes. So I don't feel we've defended 7 enough in order to say, look, that's a solid level of support. We're a little above 7, a little bit below. Let's let that price action develop a little bit more, and we'll keep an eye on HTZ. It's the best looking name for me anyway in the small cap gapper world. DTCK, also a good one, but this one getting more of a prolonged pullback than its other neighbor there, HTZ. It's losing the 10. It just found support momentarily at the 20. Now, I want to point out something here. This 20 moving average is at a very important area, price action, resistance area, now support. I'm talking about these two topping tail candles, the 1055 candle, the 1120 candle, both of them rejected in and around 412. And lo and behold, look where we're getting price action support right now. Right off 412 we go into the high 20s, so it's already being bought up. DTCK, nice little bounce there, but let's look for a trend change. So it's a nice scalp. So if you got in ton right at 412 and you wet the beak at 425, you made a lot of money. But that doesn't mean we all trade in that way. Some of us ride trends for longer than 1 5-minute candle. So for those people, look for a trend change. And you're looking for a trend change vis-a-vis higher highs and higher lows. Right now you have neither. So DTCK certainly in focus, but not guaranteed or hasn't set up perfectly quite yet. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that. Shout out to Jay Lee. Jay Lee, I covered my TQQQ short, 112.30. Got like $5 winners since I started the short yesterday at 119. Held and added today at 115. Nice. Great short, Jay. Obviously, a great morning to wake up to a swing and see what happened overnight, thanks to the leaders of Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley running their mouth out in Hong Kong. Love that. Shout out to Jacques. They are just outsmarting Mr. T. At the end of the day, most views of the video came after Trump posted his message. Yes, apparently Doug Ford saying something in the avenue of 12 billion views. I haven't verified it myself, but a ridiculous amount of views. That's what he's saying. I mean, I haven't verified it, Katina Man, but he was very, very quick to tell everybody how many views it had yesterday. Despite the fact that it's no longer running on television ads, it still lives, of course, on the internet, as does everything that's ever been released. Jag, I think Ford was crazy to do that, especially when the feds were negotiating for him. But we'll not talk more of politics no more. You can talk whatever you want, my man. Don't worry about it. Joseph and I do not get upset about anything. So throw in whatever comments your heart so desires. So that's all I've got right now, Joey. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I got out of this meta trade. It didn't want to break this level. I mean, we were in the money a little bit, but I was waiting for 634. So we'll just take that loss on that one there, and just look for something else to trade. I mean, there's going to be plenty of opportunities. Downtrend still fully intact, and it just couldn't break and hold, man. So it's unfortunate that Zuck and company, once again, these guys are in the people's bad books. Could you please take a look at Rocket Lab for sure? Oh. So I mean, it's just continuous moves lower here on META. So yeah, again, take a loss and oh well. I mean, we had that beautiful Tesla short as well too, right off of the highs, and we just didn't stick with it, and we looked for something else here in META. Let's see what else we got going on. RKLB. Let's take a look at Rocket Lab as you're off of the highs there. Man, this thing has been on a monster run, RKLB. How far are we off of these previous highs? So there it is, you're down 20% there. What has Palantir been up to on this session? Rocket Lab, like the trend's still there, right? You got to take that into consideration. And this is an absolute monster trend here in Palantir. So keep an eye out on that one there, guys. So not too bad. M. Zucker, yeah, I know. Could you please take a look? Anything else specific that you guys want to go over? Please let me know. What's Big Smile saying in the chat? Yeah. So anyways, MSTR coming back a little bit here. What's Bitcoin been up to on this session? Is it still bleeding? Ah, wow, man. Yeah, it's a tough look in the crypto space. At what point are we going to call it?
How many views?
Oh boy. So yeah, I think anywhere in this kind of this open space, you want to look for some indecision prints to turn around. I think it's the same scenario. The one thing that I'm kind of worried about here is that if you go back to March, right, like you enter this consolidation of March and then you essentially don't break out until November that year, which is just not good. So you have these lengthy moves. And what I was thinking with this is that, like, okay, usually the longer the consolidation, the bigger the breakout is, right? That hasn't been the case with Bitcoin. You get these couple leg higher, and then sure enough, you go in the consolidation. You go on a nice little move, consolidate, and then you get a little bit of a push into that previous all-time high of 126. But then it's just like, there's no demand. There's too much supply, apparently, which is something that is supposed to have supply constraints, obviously. Not enough demand north of 126, and you start to come back into those 100. So you are 26% roughly off of those all-time highs there, guys. 20% where we're currently sitting at. Not too good of a look on BTC. Yeah, this was a bull trap for sure. I agree with you guys on that front, and it trapped your boys, so we had to start selling some calls. But other than that, I'm contemplating adding some more cash into my account for my wages again. Already done it for the month. Is it just me, FOMO, or is it the sensible? Adding more cash, like, so you're just looking to build your account up, or have you lost the money and you're just looking to refund it? I think those are two totally different things. Either way, more money into the markets. I think at the end of the day, if you're working and you can put aside 30-40% of your income and start just buying the Nasdaq and buying the SPY, I think that's the way to go for sure.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
What is the largest percentage of your income that you put away for any one period of time? Not like one-off, but like something you did for a few months, percentage of income.
Oh, dude, when I was living at home, I would literally save 80 to 85% of my money.
That's
yeah, literally, because I didn't have to pay anything.
Exactly.
I would just
that makes a big difference,
and then I would just I would just put some aside, and that was my party money, right? Like, right. You get your food, your party money, and like you'll be surprised how quick it adds up.
And that's the thing. Doesn't it feel good, huh?
Yeah, it feels amazing.
It feels good to spend it, but I don't know about you, but I get buyer's remorse pretty quick.
Oh, it's not nearly as satisfying as you think it is. It's like, yo, I want this, I want that. And then after you're like, did I really want that?
I'm holding on to the receipt.
No, man, yeah. Again, as you get older, like when I was in my mid-20s, for me, it was just like, okay, buy a condo. What did I have to do? I just stayed at home and saved money. And I made money from the markets. I wanted to buy a car. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I've never had a car payment in my life.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never bought a car cash.
I've never had a car payment.
That's amazing. I love that. That's the exact opposite. I've never bought a car cash.
If I can't buy it cash, then I can't afford it.
Yeah, I feel that.
But that was me, right? That was my mentality.
That's a legitimate
by no means was I
thinking,
buying new cars.
Yeah.
No, don't get it twisted. I would buy a half-decent used car, but I would just buy it for cash.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. That means like all your monthly money is concentrated in something else.
Never had one, man. Never had one.
Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. Look at him. Immediately jumps on it. LJS could afford that bottle service at the club. Oh, come on, bro.
What do you say after that?
Oh, come on.
We can't read it?
While living in mommy and daddy's basement.
No, dude, honestly, you got to take into consideration, Kyle, in like rents weren't, before I bought my spot, I was paying $1,100 a month living in Liberty Village in my early 20s. That's nothing.
That's still.
Right? This is literally a decade ago. And
you're not getting 1,100 anywhere now.
No,
you're getting a room.
Well, it was like it was a 2 and 2, so like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath that my friend and I split. $1,100 in 2016.
That's downtown, by the way.
Yeah, like it's literally I wouldn't say the heart of the city, but it's where you want to be essentially. And yeah, that's what we were doing. So I just had extra cash. I was saving money, and I was spending a ridiculous amount in the club. So it's funny because whatever I would save, Saturday morning, it was gone. I mean, sorry, what I would have for my spending cash,
it was gone.
Saturday morning, it was gone. Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, guess what? I'm back to work on Monday. We'll get it again. But I had that saved. And that's when my friend told me, he said, Joe, you're sitting on too much cash. You need to invest it. And then that's when I bought all the weed stocks.
That's the move. Yeah. Well, exactly. The weed stocks, obviously. But we all learned from that. I think we all got a good lesson from that. All right, guys, DTCK's breaking trend. This is the first candle to make a 5-minute high in a while. We're going long here. What do we get? We got 48s. Let's see if this is a bull trap. It's been good to us on the day, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue to be good to us right now. So this is the first 5-minute candle to make a new high, preceded by a green candle that made a higher low and a higher high. There comes the $half now, 50. Seller at 50. I can't shake the seller at 50 for now, up 44%. This has got a high a day of 482, but there is a seller of note here at the $half that we currently can't shake. Current bar low, that's going to be my stop. Current bar low, 443. So let's give it a little bit more room than that, actually. 433, I said, sorry, right? Hold on, give me a sec here. The low is 430, okay. So we have to give it a little bit lower than that. There we go, and we'll give it to just like that. So let's see if we can shake that $half seller. We can't right now. DTCK suffering from a $half seller affliction. Let's see if we're able to get above 50 pennies. We're showing 49s again over here. The volume, though, has been dropping. It's been lower highs on the volume bars basically since the candle at around 1205. So nothing doing quite yet. We'll pack our patience. We'll see what we get on this one. There's really no other small cap gappers that I can mention, and I really do apologize, guys, other than HTZ and KXIN. And KXIN is just too illiquid for my liking. So there's really nothing else for me to look at. If there are any new ones that I don't have eyes on, I'd love to hear from them, from you guys. So make sure to tag Joseph or I or in the chat so we can see that red rectangle there, and we can see that you're messaging us. Otherwise, it kind of just gets lost with all of the other messages. So that's what I'm keeping on my eye right now. I think we're going to start the news in about 5 or 10 minutes or so. Obviously, a very big news day, not least of which what was said at the investor conference in Hong Kong, which led to the blood on the street that we see today. But the umpteen amount of earnings names, big earnings names, obviously, that reported yesterday as well as this morning. So we're going to see about that. Dinkelberg, I say zebra. I get it. I get the contradiction. Thank you. But we also know in English, you know, just because you pronounce a word one way doesn't mean you say the letter like that. Yeah, obviously, English full of those kind of niceties. Sassino, bro. Shout out to Fluffy Hippo. Look at RLMD. Low volume, but not bad. We're looking right now. RLMD, says Fluffy Hippo. Over here. RLMD. That's a daily. Okay, so we've been trending nicely here lately on RLMD. I want to say since maybe the end of August, late August there. Let's look at the 5. Take a quick gander. Not bad, Fluffy Hippo, but it's got to weasel its way back above that 2.5. That's where VWAP is. Also, I don't know how long you've been watching Fluffy Hippo, but I have a couple of rules. There are really only 2 rules for small cap gapper trading. If it was trading in the pre-market with volume and discernible price, like this one does, it needs to be trading above the pre-market high. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is got to be trading above that white line. That's a volume weighted average price. Those are the only 2 rules I have. This one fails both of them. But it looks like it is getting a bit of a rebound here. Secondly, the volume profile. Look at the monster volume this was doing in the pre. I mean, it was doing 2.2 million shares per 5-minute candle in the pre. Now it's doing about 26,000, 90,000, 23,000. So the volume way past its prime. I get it's stepping up, making higher highs, higher lows, but I'm just going to stick with my rules. RLMD is the name or is the ticker for this stock right there that I was just showing. Jacques. Rigetti, short. Not one that I trade, obviously, because that's not a small cap gapper. We're going to look at Rigetti, Mom Spaghetti for Jacques, or GTI. What do we got here? Rigetti's getting clapped, and so has, yeah, man, we've been, what's it called? Quantum's been getting clapped since yesterday. Okay, so it was a tough day for Quantum yesterday. Had a good week last week, though. I mean, it was uptrending right into Friday, closing near the highs, into 45 bucks. But yeah, Rigetti, looking like it might have support here, Jacques, from that 10.05, 10.10 double bottom, right around 37 bucks. Let's see what this one does. A little bit higher than 37 bucks, mind you. Let's see if it continues moving down and breaching 37 or what the situation is. I'm talking about RGTI, Rigetti. All right, let's see what else everybody else is talking about there. Nothing doing. Joey, you looking at anything, brother?
Yeah, I'm looking for a second attempt here on Meta. There's a bunch of indecision prints that I'm liking. 628 is a support level. You're getting another bounce, right? Just because you took one L on it and it's calculated doesn't mean you just give up on the thesis. Obviously, you don't want to be trying to milk a stone at the end of the day, but I like our chances of these levels holding. Sellers are still fully engaged. We have to take that into consideration, obviously. You can see the downtrend in the TQs. Katina, man, you still short the TQs, brother?
Get it, Katina, man.
You said yeah? All right.
Yeah.
All right, man. Good.
People
good
were
stuff.
asking about AMD
stuff.
as well when you were gone.
AMD,
Katina, man,
yeah.
is still short AMD.
Yeah, AMD, really good luck, man. You got the breakdown in AMD for sure. I mean, it's holding up. It's holding up much better than a lot of these names, but
that's
maybe
the chart right there, Joey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I mean, it's holding up a lot better than some of the other names, but I like our chances, man. I mean, if the market's going to continue to sell off, then by all means, hopefully AMD starts to participate. Katina, man, can cook up a little bit of that. I think it was just a liquidity grab all the way to the top, cover rally, whatever you would like to call it. People taking profits up into 257, and then now you're 3 points off of that high. So not too bad. Just went long IBIT starter position, says Ian Ganther. Okay, shout out to you Ian. There. Yeah, get it, absolutely. Apple's still relatively strong, so they're paying no mind going Apple against the overall market. The high of the day, 271.43 in AAPL, so a pretty good look there. And maybe this is going to be the liquidity grab in Meta Joey, that we were looking for. Go ahead.
DTCK is breaking out, guys. We've got 48s on. We just took 77s again. There it goes again. It's a little bit off the high of the day, 482. This candle price spiked into 77. So I literally have the top of this current candle right now on DTCK. What a fantastic hold. And I love how it all got started with basically a neutral doji candle. And what do I mean by neutral? So on my platform here, the black charts, if a candle opens and closes at the same price, it will be neither green or red, it will be neutral. And this is like the most equidistant upper and lower wick ever, and it has to be literally because it closed out at the middle. So there it is, right off the 20, and up we go to test the day high, 42. Now look, if this candle closes up here, and it's got about a couple of minutes, so we still have some time for this one to retrace, this will be the highest closing candle on the day. So my next print is going to be closer to 5s, okay? 482 high, we're not going to take it at the high of the day. We're going to either get stopped out in the remaining amount, or we're going to get it closer to 5. Simple as that. DTCK in focus here. Keep your eye on it. It's still not done trading. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. I'm just looking at some things right now. You're getting a downtrend snap in the TQs and the AMD, Tesla, not too bad. All kind of mimicking each other right now, with the exception, obviously, AMD still holding up. MSTR, man, that thing is getting slacked. What's ETHA up to? Anything specific? Palantir, we can take a look at what Palantir is up to. 27.20, roughly the high there on ETHA. Now you're at 25 bucks. Not too good for Ethereum. Let's actually pull up the underlying and see what we got going on with that thing. Damn, oh damn. Yeah, I like what Katina Man said yesterday, and I completely agree with him on that. He's just like, dude, Tom Lee and those guys are just done pumping it right now. So it's essentially like, it's all right, cool, yeah, great. April from April of 25, you go on a pretty much a 200%. Pardon me?
Remember what they were pumping, got everyone to on October.
Yeah, October. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, yeah. Well, that's what he said to me, and I'm like, oh, all right, Tom Lee, sick, thanks, brother. It's gonna hold around 4,200, and then sure enough, you're down substantially from those levels. So yeah, that's unfortunate. 32% you are off of those highs. I think at this point, right, considering like who's to say that Ethereum isn't a repeat offender? I mean, it's taken a significant amount of time to even establish this new all-time high. You can see that we put in that a year ago. I don't know if that's even a genuine tick. So December all the way to August of 25. So it took some time. A lot of pain in between, which isn't a good time. And I think that's just the narrative of the crypto space. I didn't think it was going to be as volatile. It's funny because actually, so
Bro,
what
I'm crypto, Joey. I mean,
yeah, no. But listen. This is what I was saying. So the moves to the top side haven't been as aggressive, right? Why? I think there's multiple reasons. Just the ability to hedge is optionable, and now you have all these ETFs there, so you're getting the institutional adoption of it, making it a little bit harder for those moves to come into play. Yeah. And just a lot of these liquidity grabs, the crypto whales and everything, whatever they're up to, I have no idea what they are behind the screens, but something's up because there's a reason why we didn't continue that move up into the 30s and why it took so long and why we continuously go into these lengthy consolidations. Yeah. I think you need that new wave of buyers to step in.
Also, I think that the aggressive selling comes from the over-leveraged nature of the products that are being offered on these exchanges. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. There has to be some regulations. You can't have 20 and 100 times leverage and expect an asset class to remain stable. It's not going to, because there's going to be forced selling every time there's a marked price move. So whether or not the regulators are going to step in is an entirely different story. Maybe not this administration, maybe the next. This administration is very pro-crypto, and they're also quite laissez-faire. So I don't feel, at least for the moment, I'm going to see anything from them in terms of regulation on that part, but who knows, maybe I'm wrong on that. Guys, HTZ right back into the high of the day, but this is a problem. We've been at 715 multiple times. There is a seller of note over here. I've got my order at 15. It's not printing me because it didn't cross. We've been waiting at 15s for a hot minute. We've got 59s on right now. Literally haven't added into this position, which was not the right thing to do, mind you, because it hugged the 10 EMA on the 5 to no end without losing it. That should have been my signal or my sign that, the buyers were certainly in control here. I missed that. I'll do better next time. But the fact of the matter is this one's still trending up, and we could see 7.5, if the volume starts picking up. And quite frankly, when you look at the volume, it's been declining. So if we get a price spike up here in terms of bullish volume, I think we'll, easily get into 7.5. We'll have to wait and see how that all does there. DTCK double top into 475. That's not the move. That's not what I'm looking for there. And I also want to end this position because I want to start the news. So we're going to flatten out that, and we're just going to hold on to HTZ because I think that one's trending a bit more cleanly. Now I'm going to pay for saying that. Now it's going to dump right back into 690 or something. But I always end up paying the price for saying something is stable or something is good. The trading gods get you right away. All right, let's start the news, man, because we didn't do it yesterday, and we're definitely going to do it today, especially given the umpteen amount of names that are reporting or have major news. Let's get right down to it. So the first and foremost is what we're talking about earlier. Goldman and Morgan Stanley warning of a market drawdown ahead. So let's talk about why they said that and where and in what context. Morgan and Goldman both warned of a global equity rally that may face a 10 to 20% pullback over the next 12 to 24 months. The remarks came at the Global Financial Leaders Investment Summit out in Hong Kong, where both firms urged investors to brace for that volatility. For his part, Goldman CEO David Solomon, DJ Solomon, baby, expects a 10 to 20% equity correction within 2 years, calling it a normal feature of long bull cycles. Okay, healthy pullback. Same thing echoed here by CEO Ted Pick of Morgan Stanley. He echoed Solomon's tone and he said investors should welcome moderate corrections as a sign of a functioning market and not necessarily necessarily distress. So he's trying to say, things are going to drop, but don't panic. Both Goldman and Morgan Stanley highlighted Asia, though, as a multi-year growth engine, citing improving fundamentals and renewed global interest. And this echoes what I said to you guys a couple of weeks ago. I said, money flow, fund flows are flowing into the Chinese market like we haven't seen since the pandemic or even before the pandemic. So something's there. Something's there. Take a look at Chinese equities and Asian equities in general, Joey. Goldman and Morgan both like it.
Sorry. No, in all seriousness, man.
What's going on, Katina, man? AMD's dropping.
It's breaking down.
AMD
stocks just don't only go up. You're going to get a correction. We've been on a monster run as of those April lows. As soon as Donald Trump said buy, you have NVDA up 100+%. A lot of these names 50%. Indices were up around 40% plus. So at some point you're going to get that retracement a little bit more aggressive. And that's the thing, right? We know the market gets a little bit ahead of themselves at some time. We get all excited and everything along those lines, and you get these aggressive moves higher and higher and higher. When the market is like, you'd rather have some more calm and cool ebbs and flows. But as for getting into the Chinese market, by all means, do it at your own risk if you're going to trade those ADRs. You just have to be aware that, hey, you're going to gap up a couple percent one day, gap down a couple percent the next day. So yeah, trade at your own risk.
All right, Adara, I mean, is this just the regular market functioning in the way that it's supposed to with that healthy, correction every now and again? What do you make of this headline?
I think so, and I think there are a couple of reasons for it. Long story short, I think the reason we reacted the way that we did was likely because Palantir earnings happened at the same time. This is a name we're always going to worry about here with regards to valuation. And then also we had, did Michael Burry bet against Palantir and Nvidia? So the point I'm trying to make is I don't think these remarks would have actually made that much of a dent in the market. I think the only reason we had that pre-market reaction was because of all of these other factors forming, as Obi would say, confluence with these statements. And I think, even we had a pullback, we had a correction earlier this year, right? We had that drop 20%. What did the market do? Make all-time highs. So as Joe said, markets are allowed to breathe. Stocks are allowed to catch their breath. I wouldn't worry too much about the comments of DJ Solomon and his peers. I think that, having this caution, having this realistic outlook makes sense. But yeah, I don't even think they're being too bearish here. And they still say, positive on Asia. So I don't think this is really a bad look at all.
Palantir, great earnings report. Obviously, it was at all-time highs, pulling back a little bit today, around 7%, but a knockout quarter, so let's talk about it. Their earnings per share, 21 pennies adjusted, mind you, beating the 17 expected on revenue of 1.18 billion, beating the 1.09 expected by the street, and also growing at an eye-watering rate of 63% top-line growth year over year, easily beating the 1 billion for the second straight quarter. Net income, very, very healthy, almost $500 million in net income, a little bit shy, well ahead of the 143 million they took home last year, tripling year over year, Joey, as operating margins expand sharply. Guidance as well for Q4 projected at 1.33 billion, well above the forecast of 1.19. Let's talk about their government revenue, and then we're going to talk about their commercial revenue because they're both important. U.S. government revenue jumped 52% year over year, now taking about $486 million in revenue home despite the ongoing government shutdown. They are dominating the defense analytics space and looking, obviously, expanding into more. Speaking of that more, it's the commercial revenue that more than doubled year over year to $397 million, with the total contract value now for just U.S. commercial deals quadrupled to a yearly number of 1.31 billion. They inked fresh partnerships with the likes of Snowflake, Lumen, Nvidia, many others as well, and the shares have soared, Joey, 170% year to date. But let me tell you, bro, they got a market cap of a little bit less than $500 billion, and they're bringing in 1.18 billion. In revenue on the quarter. So let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to take 2 billion next quarter. So on a year, they're bringing 8 billion and their market cap is $500 billion. Like, I know they're going to grow into the valuation. I get all that. There's more contracts coming. They're growing at an eye-watering rate. But, you know, fundamentally.
You always thought that was a little alarming. I mean, as for the commercial growth that Sharif mentioned, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Pretty sure the international segment is growing as well, too. Striking deals with Japan, and I believe it was Germany or something along those lines. So that's starting to increase. They don't want to be so heavily reliant on the U.S. government, but that's fine. You're only down 10.17% from those highs. I think Palantir is going to be doing just fine, especially considering as the world gets more violent, people want to use Palantir to collect all that data and use it for defense systems. Nothing wrong with Palantir. And down 10%, I like this stock.
Did you get any wind about the call yesterday? Did you hear anything about the call?
No, what did Carp say? He's ready
Quite colorful.
Yeah, he always is.
It's a colorful call.
He always is, man. But he wanted to blow everything up, essentially.
Yeah, there was ice mentioned. Everything that, you know, triggers people.
The thing is,
was mentioned.
I thought the funniest thing is when he's like, yeah, we need like organic heat-seeking missiles. You remember when he said that? It's like that can detect organic matter. And he doesn't want the Ministry of Defense. He wants the Ministry of Offense.
Well, now they got the Department of War. He kind of got what he wanted.
The Department of War.
Yes, it's called the Department of War now, bro. It's back to World War II now. All right, Adara, this was a blowout report by all expectations. What do you make of this?
I do want to talk about the growth because, as we said, the growth was really stellar this quarter. It has been stellar for Palantir, but sure, their EPS guide for the quarter beat estimates, but they're guiding less growth than what we grew this quarter. So this quarter, we had 63% year-over-year revenue growth. Last quarter, 48% year-over-year revenue growth. And they said in their own guidance, this is actually in their official report, they're only getting 61% revenue growth for next quarter. Now, obviously, only 61% has to be like the biggest oxymoron ever known to man. But it's significant because when we have a company that, as we mentioned, there are so many valuation concerns surrounding, if you get even a tiny dip in sequential growth, there can be concerns. That's the biggest thing I'm going to say here. But as Sharif mentioned, earnings calls with our friend Alex Karp are forever entertaining. This is the man that said we needed a Department of Offense, and then the Department of Defense actually ended up responding in kind. So interesting look here for PLTR. I do want to let you guys know as well, Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, is set to begin a briefing very shortly. So I will likely be occupied with that very soon. I'll keep you posted once she enters the podium. Right now, it's a stream open and everybody's waiting for her to arrive. Back to you.
Hey guys, DTCK rocketing up into 494, man. Shouldn't have gone out of this trade. Mistake on my part. Here comes 5 and up 56% simultaneously as DTCK continues to ride high. HTZ or Z breaking down now below the 20, so that gets me out of the trade. We'll take the last remaining amount and run, but this one could breach 7. Anyway, 715 is the level there. Keep your eye out on that. Let's go on, though, to the next story. Just allow me a second to organize myself. Yes, let's go on to the next story. Uber delivers record trip volumes and beats on revenue. Let's talk about the report. A little bit shy of $13.5 billion in revenue, well ahead of the 13 and a little bit more than the 13.25 expected, and a nice growth rate of 20% year over year. Earnings per share came in at $3.11, but because of one-time items, they're not directly comparable to comps. Net income. $6.6 billion in net income. But before you get all excited, you got to know that there's a reason for that. $4.9 billion of that 6.6 is a tax-related benefit, and about $1.5 billion is from an equity reevaluation gain. Those are one-off items that may not reoccur next quarter or next year. Let's talk about what Dara said. He said it's Uber's strongest growth since 2023 with record trip volumes outside, of course, of the post-COVID rebound. Gross bookings, a little bit less than $50 billion and up 21% year over year, topping estimates easily. Joey, they had 3.5 billion trips at 22% year over year increase, with monthly active users growing nicely for, you know, a mature company, 17% year over year growth. Now let's break down their segments. They got 3 technically, but we're only getting data on 2. The 3 are mobility, delivery, and freight. We're not getting freight anymore, and I don't know why. We'll have to look into that. For mobility, Gross bookings, 25.11 billion, up 20% year over year, brought home about $7 2/3 billion in revenue, slightly above estimates. Delivery continues to grow faster than mobility, and that has been the case for the last, I think, 4 or 5 quarters. Gross bookings for delivery, 23.32 billion, up 25% year over year. Compare that to mobility, that's up 20% year over year. And revenue coming in lighter, Joey, 4.48 billion, up, but beating the street's estimates of 4.31.
Yeah.
Uber, though, down.
Did they say how the Eats division was doing or anything?
Yeah,
like
that's
that?
delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Delivery. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, I mean everything is going good, man. These guys are investing heavy. Sorry, I was reading something as well.
All good, brother.
So yeah, I mean they're investing heavily in autonomy. They're putting a big bet on that space. They want to team up with Elon Musk and company. Well, he was thinking about it. The CEO is listening to the All In podcast. They want Tesla, when the robotaxi is out, 20,000 car fleet to be signed up onto the Uber app, which I think will be extremely interesting. Other than that, guys, Uber is a pretty good name. I like it. I just worry a little bit because the profitability within autonomy is still a ways away. I'm thinking at least 4 years down the road. That's the same with the likes of Waymo, Zoox, and obviously Elon doesn't even have a robo-taxi out just yet. But I think in the long run, they'll be okay, especially if they start striking deals with Google, which they're in talks with, and obviously with Elon.
And quite frankly, Joe, I mean, like if you're trying to be cost conscious about the robo-taxi, you're probably not looking at the Lucid Gravity. Like one of the more expensive SUVs out there, and that's what they're using. They're using the
is that what they're using?
Yeah, it's over 100,000.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, yes, okay, Randy, we're talking Uber. Well, obviously, we're going through the report, but we're also talking about the robo-taxi expansion. Now, you and I were talking about this. They're using the Lucid Gravity, one of the more expensive SUVs, right? So they're not going to make money off something like that. You know, they should be setting up for something a bit more cost efficient. I get, you know, they don't have to pay the drivers, obviously. But still. I'll repeat what you say.
Just use G-Wagon.
Why not? Yeah, just use a G-Wagon. I mean, I wouldn't mind taking a ride in a G-Wagon.
But that's the thing, though, with Waymo's LiDAR, essentially what it is that you're paying for a G-Wagon. It's $230K a vehicle.
Well, exactly. And I was about to make that point as well. Yeah. Google clearly doesn't care here. It's a science experiment.
They don't,
Google,
they don't
like,
care. No.
All right.
I wonder if they'll ever be able to get the price of that down. LiDAR is getting a little bit cheaper, but it's just they're using Jaguars. You can slap that on a different vehicle, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, bro. I mean, did you hear about the hack to JLR?
No.
They're all sorts of trouble over there.
No way.
They got hacked.
No way.
Yeah, and it's causing
chaos.
Chaos over in England.
So my dream of an Evoque is slowly going.
I know you love that.
I love
car,
the
bro.
Evoque.
You love that car.
I love the Evoque.
All right, Adara, what do you make of this report, and what do you think about the expansion into robotaxis? Give us your take.
Yeah, I think that, honestly, I don't have too many thoughts on the robotaxi expansion. I feel like there's going to be, much like, you know, to compare Uber and Lyft, I think there's going to be enough people that want robotaxis eventually far down the line. Not that I'm one of them, but I assume that market's going to be big enough that we're probably going to have room for a couple different competitors. So I don't really want to opine too much on that. I have to shout out Dara K as Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang called him last week for a stellar quarter. But I have a couple things to say. Now, for one, I really like, Sharif, that you specified that this net income boost has to do specifically with tax benefits, because if we're going to penalize Meta for tax-related losses and impacts, I think we should also be aware that a lot of this Uber gain is tax benefit related. So I like that specification. I think that is worth remembering. Now, I think it's awesome they grew in both segments. You know, you've got the gross bookings above estimates, up 20% year over year, delivery also growing. But I do want to mention, this is completely anecdotal, but I want to know what you guys think about this in the chat, because I think this could maybe be a thing for Uber later on. We know that Amazon recently had this whole debacle over whether or not people were able to cancel Prime subscriptions as well. I am now in a situation with Uber where I accidentally signed up for Uber One and I cannot find out how to unsubscribe. And when I say accidentally, I mean I was going to pay for an order, then all of a sudden they pop up the button before you can close it, you're automatically subscribed, and then you can't figure out how to unsubscribe. So this could be a me problem, but the point I'm trying to make is if we had this issue with Amazon, where we've seen a lot more people find it easy to unsubscribe, I wonder if Uber One could potentially have that issue down the line. Now that is a lot more, I think, speculative than I usually like to get with this analysis, but it's something I do want to point out. I'll end with shout out Dara K. Great quarter overall for Uber.
Thank you for that. All right, let's go on to the next topic, guys. Norway's wealth fund votes against Musk's $1 trillion pay package. Oh boy. Now you're on Uncle Musk's you-know-what list. Let's talk about this. Norges Bank Investment Management, NBIM, the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, confirmed Yes, it voted against Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package for the upcoming shareholder meeting. NBIM, they manage over $2 trillion in assets, and they own about 1.14% of all of Tesla's common stock. The fund said it appreciates Elon Musk's role in creating immense shareholder value, but they cited concerns over the size of the award, the dilution risk, and the lack of a key person risk mitigation. More on that in a second. Tesla's board, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, Elon Musk pay package, what are you guys talking about? Tesla's board is asking shareholders to reinstate Elon Musk's pay plan, which could ultimately be worth, if all the goals are met, nearly $1 trillion in stock options if Tesla meets, yes, specific 10-year performance milestones. The plan also expands Musk's voting power. He said on All In, he needs at least 25% in order to create a robot army. He does not feel confident or will not build a robot army if he doesn't have at least 25% voting. That's scary in and of itself. I don't want Elon controlling the robot army either. I don't want anybody controlling a robot army. That just sounds ominous. The package mirrors Elon's previous $56 billion reward, which was struck down earlier this year by a U.S. court before being reintroduced, of course, for reapproval, I should say. Here's who's standing against it. There's a couple. The Take Back Tesla campaign, it's a coalition of unions and watchdog groups. They've urged investors to vote against the deal. They're calling it excessive and risky for governance. And then the proxy advisors. Joseph and I talked about what these proxy advisors do. They don't actually own the shares. They vote on behalf, I should say, of money of other funds who delegate their responsibility to these proxy advisors. We're talking about ISS, who Elon Musk lovingly calls ISIS, and the Glass Lewis as well. They recommended shareholders reject the proposal. This is not the first clash between Elon and the Sovereign Wealth Fund in Norway. The fund previously voted against that, yes, that $56 billion pay package, and a heated exchange vis-a-vis text messages with NBIM CEO after Musk declined a dinner invitation to Oslo to speak about it. Joey? So text messaging at the heart of some of this, which is funny.
Yeah, text messaging.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Just I gotta fix the old poppy,
there.
Okay. Yeah, fix the poppy. No, I think it's interesting. Obviously, Elon's not going to be happy whatsoever. Is it in the best favor to do so? No, you want this guy fully engaged. We know he can get distracted from time to time. And if you're just going to continuously piss him off, well, guess what? When he's mad, I think is when he gets the most distracted and then definitely starts throwing off truths and or tweets or exit posts, whatever you want. That's not what you want from Elon. You want him to be 110% engaged, get these robo-tax, expand that geofence. He has the cheaper model out as well too, but there's a lot of things that he needs to accomplish. You don't want him having to worry about this third-party voting who doesn't even own the shares on whether he gets essentially his $1 trillion package. What was the market cap it needs to go to again? $9 trillion?
I forget. There were stages.
There's stages within it. But you want him fully engaged, and doing this isn't going to help whatsoever.
All right, guys. Just before we go to Adara, DTCK is on that good stuff right now. Here it goes right into high of day, 538 and going. It's up now 70%, 71%. Keep your eye on this one. It seems to be a midday runner and all gas right now and no brakes. All right, Adara, what do you make of this key person risk and on all the other reasons some of these proxies as well as these campaigns are trying to elicit, voters their way?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I honestly think that regardless of these votes to the other direction, I have a feeling this will pass. And there's a couple reasons I think that. A, passed the first time, even though, of course, later this got overturned. B, I have always said this, do not mess with the retail Tesla shareholders. I have spent a lot of time on the community on X. You've got Tesla Boomer Mama, you have Herbert Ong, you've got that whole team. They do regular podcasts. They are very active, encouraging people to vote. And they'll even say, hey, if your brokerage is giving you an issue with voting, let them know. We'll contact them for you. They are very, very active with regards to shareholder rights. And we know all these Tesla retail shareholders, they very much want Elon Musk to be involved. So to get back to what you asked here, Sharif, which is the key person risk, I think the bigger thing to remember is that the retail Tesla shareholders, which again are probably the most vocal of these communities, they don't really care about the risk. They actually don't see it as a risk in the first place. So that's kind of what I want to say here with regards to TSLA. I have a feeling this will probably pass through. And I think the bigger thing, too, is we have quite the incentive for it to pass. We had chairperson of the board, Robin Denham, saying multiple times that, hey, if we don't pass this resolution, Elon Musk might not stay with the company, and they really don't know if there's going to be a CEO that is as capable to run the company as Elon. So for all of those reasons, I have a feeling this will likely pass regardless of the furor. But I also have to say, Norway, come on now. You guys are like really helping Tesla with your sales. You can't help Tesla with the pay package? That's all I have to add there.
All right, thank you for that. So my opinion on the key person risk is I think this is one of the more sound reasons I think some of these proxies are arguing against it, because I don't personally see a pathway to a successor. And he's personally not allowed anybody to come, to the fore enough to say, yeah, this person, he could be Elon's understudy, or this person has the same sort of methodology that Elon is. We could see a Tesla post Elon with this person. And quite frankly, anything can happen to Elon, right? Like, that's just the fact of the matter. And, it doesn't have to be like he's going to retire or, be at near the age where, he may not be able to be at his most efficient. The fact of the matter is anything can happen to him, and he's already a little volatile there. So I'd like to see some sort of successor start to come to the fore, breeding somebody who could mitigate some of this key person risk, because I think that this is the biggest one. Now, I don't think there's any argument to be made with respect to dilution. That's absolute BS. If you get an $8 trillion valuation, you live with that dilution, bro, because the amount of money you're going to make from $1.5 trillion or whatever this thing is trading at right now to 7, 8 trillion, you put up with the dilution, but you can't put up with key person risk because he may not be around tomorrow, and God knows what kind of things could happen from there. So key person risk, to me, the most pressing of the issues, and I think that they do have a bit of an argument when it comes to that. Let's talk about ETH, Joey, because this is something that I know you've been talking a lot about. ETH. I know it slumped yesterday, but I want to talk about this. Slumps after a $100 million balancer hack and macro pressures, of course. So ETH fell as much as 9% yesterday, dropping below that $3,600 support level momentarily before reclaiming it. The decline, of course, follows news of a $100 million hack targeting Balancer, which is a major Ethereum-based DeFi protocol. ETH now is down about 25% from its August high of $4,885. Trading volumes spiked sharply, Joey, during the dip, signaling forced liquidations and margin calls across major exchanges. We keep talking about that with respect to crypto. Way too many leverage products there for stability. The recent hack, though, Joey, underscores the persistent security vulnerabilities in decentralized finance, a recurring risk, of course, for Ethereum system. Institutional flows as well have slowed as investors temporarily shift to gold and U.S. Treasuries, which is a classic safe haven. Yeah, I think so. I think that's definitely the play from what we've seen as of late. But as for that hack, that's pretty rare. I'm pretty sure the Ethereum blockchain has almost zero downtime. I don't know if that was if that's been coinciding with that, or if there's a correlation, or was shut down, anything along those lines. I don't think that was the case. But again, we know the volatility within the crypto market. It's tough right now. You have earlier, I like what Katina Man was saying, the fact that, hey, yeah, essentially, as soon as Tom Lee was done pumping Ether, it's like, all right, yeah, look what happens. Sells off aggressively. Are these guys still buying up? Absolutely, I think so. Why? Because you can stake it. It's still pretty much a treasury, and I'm referring to BMNR. Ethereum isn't Bitcoin. There isn't a limited supply, so just be cautious. There is benefits of it. Obviously, with the staking, you can generate a yield, but if Bitcoin's not going to perform well, you're not going to see Ethereum move opposite to what the king of the crypto is doing. Have we noticed any divergence in, have we ever come in and, ETH was up 2%, but Bitcoin was down? Usually they're both up or down, but not, but not maybe as much as the other. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we got to take into consideration Ethereum went on a monster run earlier in the year, doubling. But Bitcoin was climbing higher and higher as well, too. But now that Bitcoin's not doing anything, it's breaking down. I don't think the altcoins and obviously some of the other ones, Ethereum, they don't stand a chance at the end of the day. Solana's down. I mean, this could be an interesting pickup for Solana. It's down sharply here, man. It's at 150. Wasn't this thing just at 200? Yeah. It was at 250. This thing's $100 off the high, man. This could be an interesting area for pickup. I mean, I'm not giving anybody advice, but
And it's funny too, because I think there's more of a use case for Ethereum compared to Bitcoin, aside from just the store value, right? Sure. There's an actual use case for it, and it's still not continuously appreciating. You're getting a 30% pullback off of those highs, which I think is really important to know.
All right, Adara, what do you make of this Ethereum drop and this hack app in general?
I don't have too much to say on this. I am not the crypto person in this conversation, so I don't want to put too much in. I will say always hacks are going to be a bit of a concern, specifically also from a sentiment and securities perspective, of course. So I don't think that helps in addition to the selling that we have in the market. Once again, like I said about the first story today with regards to the comments from Goldman Sachs, CEOs, et cetera, I think this is just a situation of confluence. We've got a couple pieces of negative sentiment, a couple bad stories, adding to the witch's brew of negativity surrounding crypto today.
Let's talk about Shopify, good Canadian company, man. Where's it at right now, Joey? Let's find out where Shop is. Are we getting still murked? Yeah, we're down about 6%, 5.93, but well off the lows. And we held the 50 moving average like a glove on the daily. Let's start with a quick look here at a Shop on the daily. I just want to show you what I'm looking at there. Nice buy up off that 50 EMA on the daily. That's the red line. Falls right there into 155. And quite frankly, if you take a look at the daily here, 50 has been a solid level of support, at least, I want to say, since the spring when we reclaimed the 50. Since, I want to say, early May, we've been really holding above the 50 today. A nice bounce there off the 50 EMA. Joey, you got a $5 super chat. Do you want to look at that before we go on to Shopify?
For sure. I was just reading about it. Hey, Joe, looking at some leads for a possible MasterCard, right? Targets, is that what you're looking for? Moving average targets? I don't know. Can you explain on how options work in a buyout? That I can't give you the answer, and I'm not going to just make anything up. We can obviously Google it here quick and see what we got going on. But as for a buyout, we read up on it before. Again, I don't want to mislead you in that direction. I know we were talking about reverse splits and splits. I'll have to get back to you on that one, Jeff, right now. I'm not sure how options work on buyouts.
All right, Joey, let's go on. Let's talk about Shopify since we looked at the chart there. Revenue beating on the top line, $2.84 billion ahead of $2.76, a 32% increase in revenue year over year, slightly faster as well than the growth they had in Q2, which they grew 31. So a quarter over quarter sequential bump there in growth. Gross merchandise volume, meaning all the merchandise volume value that they sold across all their platforms, of course, their resellers, $92 billion, up from the 88.75, and a 32% year-over-year growth on that GMV metric. Operating profit, they're taking home $343 million in profit in the quarter, beating the $311 expected, and their operating expense, $1.05 billion. That's in line with expectations. They continue to invest heavily in AI. So says management, they're investing in website creation and design, sales data tracking, and automated marketing and ad image generation as a part of their AI investments. Their holiday season, their biggest quarter, Q4 coming up. They're talking about Q4 revenue growth guidance, mid to high 20% range, okay? With gross profit growth, mid to low 20% range for Q4, and their operating expense as a percentage of revenue expected to further fall down to 30 to 31% from around 37% in Q3. Despite the U.S. tariff pressure, though, and consumer uncertainty, they're saying their merchant networks has shown broad resilience in both domestic and international markets, Joey, and they continue to navigate the input cost volatility as well as their sourcing challenges. Yeah. Despite the decent report there, it's not the most fantastic. They're down about 6% on the day.
Yeah. I mean, Shopify has been on a big-time run, right? Like, we always use the April lows as our gauge here. You're up 133%. I know Japan and the EU, those segments are growing in the US and Canada as well, too. And that's what you want to see is just growth across the platform. And you can't complain whatsoever, up 133% on Shopify. We like that. Good Canadian company. I know my friend owned this literally a decade, I wasn't going to say a couple decades ago, a decade and a half ago. He was buying into Shopify in like the teens and everything along those lines, and he sold a long time ago. But other than that, you have this selling, this aggressive selling in November of 21, that bear market, but you've been recovering ever since. Are you at those levels? Not yet, but as long as the company continues to grow, okay, yeah, so you've just just put in a new all-time high 4 years later, unfortunately. But again, this is what you want to see, a solid recovery and especially growth across the business.
Arsenal's playing right now, Slavia Prague, Champions League. Arsenal up 1-0 on Slavia's land. You know what they do when Arsenal goes up 1-0? It's 1-0 to the Arsenal. 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 All right, Adara, give us your take on Shopify.
Yeah, just so you guys know, White House Press Secretary Caroline Levin just began her press conference. It's going to be a little bit harder for me to hear right now with that in mind, so I'm just going to give that caveat right now. I will do my best. We do have Shopify. I think these earnings are, I feel like Shopify is always kind of just there with earnings. They're a name that will often move, but I find they tend to move more, or more interestingly anyway, on catalysts. Like, for example, that move they had in OpenAI recently with their team up with ChatGPT. Partnership and integration, that I think was kind of more interesting than what happened here. It is interesting that the Q4 operating expense is a percentage of revenue. That, I guess, the improving efficiency aspect of that, and we shout out to Sharif's note, I think that is an interesting thing to keep in mind. And I think the fact that they've done pretty well despite the tariffs is also interesting. But yeah, this is a report that is it's just there for me. I don't have too much to say. Although, again, we have to shout out Kaz Nejadian, former CTO of Shopify, now CEO of Opendoor, going from CTO to CEO. We'll see that if that Opendoor choice was the right one, because they're going to report earnings coming through on Thursday.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to Spotify. We'll start with S. Beating Q3 estimates as well as raising their profit outlook for Q4. I think this one was green earlier in the morning. It is now red. Yeah, it got up into 700 or thereabouts. Now it's down to 622. Goodness gracious. So Spotify projected Q4. Well, let's start with their actual earnings report before we go to their guidance. They printed 4.27 billion euros in revenue. That's a 7% year-over-year increase and beating the 4.23 billion euros expected by the street. Operating income improved sharply due to cost optimization as well as price hikes. And I know about those price hikes because they raised prices on me a couple of times. Growth in higher margin subscription services as well as reduced promotional spending helped strengthen their Q3 results. Let's talk about what they're projecting for Q4. They're looking for operating income to come in about 620 million euros. That's about $723 million. That's above the street's expectation of 618. The upbeat forecast here really reflects what they're calling robust user growth, as well as price hikes, as I mentioned, and their cost-cutting initiatives. They're expecting Q4 revenue to come in at $4.5 billion. That's below consensus, though. The street was looking for 4.57 billion euros, but that would be an increase over the 4.27 they printed this past quarter. Let's talk about their different metrics. Monthly active users, their MAUs, they got 745 million monthly active users, beating the 737 expected by analysts. Premium subscribers, where I fall in, 289 million. That missed, though. The street was looking for about 291 million, a little bit less. In Q3, premium subscribers did rise despite the miss, 12% year over year, with their total monthly active users just for Q3, 713 million. They continue to attract younger demographics, so the report says, by offering audiobooks, AI tools, and personalized content discovery. We're going to pause for a second, get Joey's opinion, but we got to go to Adara. She's got news.
I have to mention here the airlines. I spoke about these a little bit earlier. We had Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary here for the U.S., discussing the airspace-related restrictions that could come if the shutdown continues. As I mentioned, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has begun her press conference, and she actually name-dropped some of these airlines, including AAL, UAL, and LUV, saying that they support, I guess, the Republicans here with regards to the shutdown, and again, saying that this industry could be in trouble if the shutdown continues, and that, you know, we want the government shutdown to end, or they want the government shutdown to end, so that these airlines spaces in the airspace industry in general can continue. So again, I just want to mention that here. Keep an eye on these airlines. They have been mentioned quite heavily today. And Caroline Leavitt literally started off this press conference by mentioning these companies. Back to you.
All right, Joey, what do you make of this report, brother?
I like how you mentioned just the premium subscribers, Sharif, but apparently, so revenue per premium subscriber fell 4%, which I found pretty interesting, but that's nothing to cry home about. As long as they're continuously growing, you're getting users across the globe. I know you're a Spotify guy.
I am.
I'm an Apple Music guy, I guess, and not iTunes or anything along those lines. I know a lot of people who live by Spotify. They have all the podcasts on there, the Joe Rogan, everything. So, yeah, I mean, you can't complain whatsoever. One thing is that once you start to see a little bit more of a slowdown in growth is when you want to get alarmed. But other than that, Spotify has been just fine. Let's pull up the actual technicals of this name and take a look at what we got going on. Shopify, we were looking at not too long ago. That's doing fantastic, up over 133% on the year. Let's take a look from a daily perspective.
Nvidia's below 200.
Yeah, it broke. The market is still continuously bleeding, guys. We got a new low of the day on the TQs and on the SPY. Tesla put in a new low of the day not too long ago. Palantir still holding up relatively well. Bitcoin down, or IBIT down to $57, which is absolutely ugly. But as for Spotify, if we want to go to this peak in June, we're down currently approximately 20%. So that is starting to head into the bear market territory. But you can't put aside from those April lows to that peak earlier. You're up 63%, outpacing the market. Not too bad. Let's see if those support levels at 621 break. If they do, then I think there's going to be some more downside. That's the narrative across multiple underlyings, I think, in the market right now.
And that's a bit of a trend break there, especially that key area of support that you pointed out there.
Big time. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's across the board, right?
It is.
The technicals are technicals. I think you look at them the same way.
No arguing with them.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Bitcoin, right? Like you zoom out a little bit, you have this that you got to be cautious of. There's multiple other names that we could go and take a look at, but yeah, not too good of a look there.
All right, Adara, what do you make of this report? I mean, there was a lot of good here, but some issues.
Yeah, I think generally a lot of good here for Spotify. I am not a Spotify user, so I can't comment too much on the user experience. Shout out to iTunes and downloading songs piece by piece. I think, yeah, it's interesting here, too, to see how the company will continue to evolve with regards to their earnings, because this is their first report since announcing that new co-CEO structure that they have. They've just announced that pretty recently. I think it'll be interesting to see once we get another quarter with that in mind, how that actually unfolds, because, of course, Daniel Ek's been in place for quite some time. He stepped back. Let's see how these new leaders end up faring, because there has been a lot of debate in general over, does the two CEO structure work? A lot of people use Netflix as the gold standard for this, which in a lot of ways it is. But the difference here, too, with Netflix versus other companies that are going to try this, including Oracle, which recently announced a similar structure. With Netflix, you've got Greg Peters, who is an expert at one side, like more business aspect, more business oriented. Then you had Ted Sarandos, other CEO of Netflix, and he is more content oriented. So you really have to have people who are good at both aspects of business. We'll have to see if Spotify can find that balance. I do just want to opine on the two CEO structure for a little bit. But that's basically all I have to say on Spotify. I want to mention Amazon here too. AMZN announcing earlier today that they are basically going to go after Perplexity here for using, I guess, basically through comment, allowing AI assistants to shop on the platform. Amazon has an issue with this. Perplexity just responded saying that they believe every user has the right to use the AI of their choice, and they will not be intimidated by Amazon using legal threats to stop Comet from using these AI assistants to help shop with Amazon. So again, Amazon Perplexity, legal back and forth. I will keep you posted on that. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. You know what else song I like that we sing at the Arsenal?
What's that?
So listen to this.
I'm listening.
When we play away,
yeah,
and then we put an ass whooping on the home team because we're away, right?
Yeah.
Just like we did at Burnley on the weekend, Joseph. And then towards the end of the game, the 85th minute, 86th minute, we're about to finish.
Yeah.
The fans start leaving. The Burnley fans, the home fans, they start leaving. So the Arsenal fans, the away fans, they're not going anywhere. Their team is leading.
Yeah.
You know what song they start singing, Joey?
Anything.
Stadiums are empty everywhere we go.
I love this.
Stadiums are empty everywhere we go.
That's a fight,
everywhere
man.
we go. And they just keep singing it and trolling the home fans.
No wonder these guys were always fighting each other and causing riots.
Constantly fighting.
Yeah.
Constantly fighting.
Because they have all these chants, and if you're getting
troll.
Yeah, man, getting salt poured in the wound.
It's so
man.
good. Do you know what they do after the game? Like a helicopter hovers above the stadium to watch the crowd, and so that they see the fight.
Yeah. So
I'm assuming they're using drones.
The hooligans. hooligans, man.
Oh, Dinkelberg, no, you did it, bro. That also happened like that last night in Dallas. They don't sing that chant.
Oh.
Neil's loving that. They don't sing that chant in American football, but you're absolutely right. All right, let's go on to the next topic, guys. Pfizer. They beat, well, let's see where Pfizer is right now. PFE. Where are we at? Still down? Yeah, 1.5%. Look. They beat Q3 estimates and they raised their profit outlook, but really what we want to talk about is the acquisition. We'll get to that at the end of the story. Q3 estimates, EPS, 87 pennies, beating the 623 estimate by the street, so a beat on the bottom line. How about that top line? Slightly above estimates. 16.65 billion in revenue ahead of the 16.58, so a beat on the top and bottom line, and they raised their full year adjusted EPS. They're talking about $3 to $3.15 now. That's up from the prior guide of $2.90 to $3.10. And their revenue guidance as well, they're guiding 61 billion to 64 billion in full year 2025 revenue. Management cited strong cost controls and solid operational execution and confidence in pipeline productivity. I don't believe that last part there. I believe the strong cost controls. I know operational execution is kind of their thing, but the pipeline, where are they at, bro? I mean, we need to see new drugs coming out of Pfizer, and we haven't for a while. We're not going to get into their cost-cutting and one-time charges. Their tariff deal and the investment push as well is important, but let's talk about this. They're currently engaged in an escalating bidding war with Novo Nordisk for obesity-focused biotech Metsera. Pfizer filed its second lawsuit this week accusing Novo of anti-competitive practices and attempting to outbid it for the acquisition. Well, why is Pfizer trying to acquire growth here? Because they've had two failed GLP-1 obesity tests. One, gave you really bad gastrointestinal issues. The other one, not so bad, but it didn't meet the fat loss requirements. So they can't get it right internally, so they're trying to acquire their way into growth. That's what makes me suspect the product pipeline statement by management, because we're not seeing it and we haven't seen it in decades. So Joseph, what's your take right now on Pfizer?
I mean, Pfizer still is down 60% from 2021. If they can't get this GLP thing right, I think the market is, I'm not going to call it saturated, but you already have the big time players in the GLPs. So if you're this late to the dance, then good luck. I don't know how much better yours is going to be, how much more percentage of a body fat can you lose. We know that with the oral Shreve, you're not going to get the same effect, obviously, as the injectables, but I think that the oral pill is going to take everything by storm once it gets approved by the, what is it, the FDA? I think that needs to approve it. I think it's going to blow out all the injectables, even though if you lose, say instead of 50, all day, right? It's going to just go right into the supplement jar at the end of the day. And it's unfortunate that Pfizer has not participated whatsoever. We can go back and take a look at Moderna. You probably don't want to be owning that stock whatsoever. But I think this is a repeat offender, right? Like, you have that COVID run. After that, it just reverts right back to the mean. This name has always been like $35 for as long as I can remember. You're trading at $24. I think you're in it to collect the dividend. It's unfortunate that they can't get the GOP thing right because there's already so many players in the game. Dude,
Bitcoin just dropped below 100 momentarily. ETH is down another 8.5% today. 32.89. It's well below 3,600 support that we were talking about. The blood in crypto today is crazy. Oh,
it's gonna get worse before it gets any better because people are gonna start panicking, right?
And they're gonna get forced into selling, dude. Let's just be honest about it. The leveraged products are causing crazy volatility.
Well, tomorrow one of our headlines is going to be how many liquidations in the crypto space.
And that's going to be one of the data points of the ETFs that we talked about. All right, Adara, Pfizer beating estimates. What do you make of this Metsera, Novo, Pfizer tie-up?
I'm very excited to talk about that, Sharif. That is, of course, as you might guess, this is the element that I really like, because I find all of this drama, for lack of better terms, between companies to be very fascinating. Now, we know that earlier we had a judge come out and say, hey, this really shouldn't even be an issue with court, but what the heck? I'll give you guys another hearing Wednesday, that's tomorrow, at 3:15 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to have an update on this pretty soon, just over 24 hours from now. Long story short, I think that I kind of agree with the judge. Why is this even a legal issue, to be honest? Metsera has said, hey, we prefer Novo's bid. We like Novo's bid better. Novo Nordisk seems to have won this deal. And again, as Novo Nordisk has said, they have not done anything that is not within the scope of normal, M&A proceedings, as far as anyone can tell. Pfizer just seems a little bit sad and bitter that they did not win the bidding war. So all of that aside, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I do think it's very likely that Novo Nordisk will end up winning this. MTSR prefers their offer. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a really easy to make legal argument here that we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think it's interesting here that we did have multiple comments about this made by CEO Albert Bourla during the earnings call as well. So that'll be pretty interesting to see how all of this unfolds. Now, another tack I want to take, and I don't like to be speculative much, but sometimes it's kind of fun. We know CEO Albert Bourla and US President Trump are on good terms. Now, if there ever is kind of an FTC issue with regards to a merger between MTSR and Novo Nordisk, could that relationship end up benefiting Pfizer? That's complete speculation. We'll have to wait and see. But either way, interesting story to keep an eye on. And I think with Novo Nordisk reporting earnings tomorrow morning, this story should probably still be very hot tomorrow as well.
Live, Joey.
Yeah,
all right, thank you, Adira. Let's talk about Yum Brands. Where are they at right now? Let's see if they're up or down on the day. A mixed report here. They're up bigly, man. Almost 7% on the day, and probably because they're going to move on Pizza Hut, or they're exploring options. What's going on, Katina Man? You're still printing up a storm? The Katina Man's printing up a storm on his AMD and his QQQ short. Get it, Katina Man. Let's talk about Yum Brands announcing a plan to explore strategic options for Pizza Hut. They're signaling, of course, the potential here for divestiture, a joint venture, or stake sale. They haven't really specified. There's no fixed timeline for the review process, and they see greater long-term value in focusing on the other brands. We're talking about KFC, we're talking about Taco Bell. Now that we've mentioned that, let's talk about how their different segments did, because there's three. So they reported mixed Q3 same-store sales, with Taco Bell leading the bunch here, up 7% year over year on the quarter, with KFC also growing 3%. It's Pizza Hut here that's a drag. They dropped 1% overall, including a negative 6% print in the U.S. market. So that 1% is global. When you look at it localized, U.S. market really bleeding here. Pizza Hut has been attempting to transition from a dine-in to a delivery and carry-out since before the pandemic, Joey. While sales did surge during lockdowns, the chain has suffered from what they're calling pizza fatigue and post-pandemic consumer rotation away from delivery dining. The market share erosion continues here, with U.S. share down to 18.7% in 2024, down from 22.6% in 2019. We're talking about their share of pizza. Yeah, with Domino's has continued to capture Pizza Hut's lost customers through faster delivery and tech-driven ordering. Joseph, it looks as if, people are not eating less pizza, but their market share is getting eaten into by a more advanced DPZ.
DPZ. Oh, yeah, Domino's Pizza. Yeah, but things were looking all right. As you can see, they went more digital. That worked out for them, Sharif. But Pizza Hut contributes to 11% of Yum Brands' operating profits. KFC's or Taco Bell's 38%, which I found interesting. But as for the divestiture, I think over an extended period of time, you've seen Pizza Hut go from that restaurant style to essentially just the storefront where you walk into, you order it. There's nowhere really to dine in. So again, that's going to benefit margins. But that's been going over an extended period of time. I think Pizza Hut's just a little bit too expensive, and it's not as good as it used to be, in my opinion. As for Yum, I don't want any slice of this.
Like that, all right. Sorry, I had to laugh there. Ready, Assassino? No? New traders, listen up. The first month, it is free. Katina Man, we're waiving the fees so you can trade smarter, not harder. By upgrading to Elite, you'll analyze, you'll strategize, and then hopefully you'll capitalize on their platform that has everything, Joey. We're talking about instant data. We're talking about infinite data, instant trading, and lightning fast market insights and game-changing charts. And you'll predict better with their backtesting tool. Reliable, real-time data, global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Ozan, where are you at? Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. If you're ready to elevate your trading, scan that QR code on the screen or click the link in the description. All right, Adara, Yum Brands up bigly today, almost 7%, but Pizza Hut is a drag.
Speaking of pizza, this is great timing, Sharif, because this story just came in here 15 seconds ago. Reuters reporting that Apollo has withdrawn its $64 per share offer to take Papa John's private. PZZA dropping here again. Reuters reporting that Apollo has withdrawn its offer to take Papa John's private for $64 per share. With regards to this Yum brand story, honestly, like you look at the numbers, it makes sense, right? Taco Bell's growing, KFC's growing, Pizza Hut is not growing. It's especially weak in the U.S. It makes sense that this is a sector they might want to say goodbye to right now. Yeah, honestly, I think this is one of those things. I don't want to say it's a nothing burger because it's not, but I think sometimes stories, they don't make a lot of sense on their face. You want to analyze them a bit. To me, it makes sense that this is a direction that Yum Brands would want to go in. So I applaud them on that path, but either way, I think pizza is really the pizza-related story, I think, to watch right now, with, again, Apollo reportedly withdrawing its $64 per share offer to take Papa John's private.
Oh, bro.
So, yeah,
damn. Go ahead.
One thing I wanted to add here is that it seems like a lot of restaurants and chains are considering merger or buyouts amid softening demand and tighter consumer budgets. So Denny's today also agreed this week to be taken private in a $322 million deal. So there it is on Denny's, and then just obviously Adara brought us that news as well too. So that's not looking too good for some of these fast food restaurants.
That was ridiculous. It just didn't stop. It's not stopping. It's at the lows. So yeah, the blood is continuing to come in. All right, let's talk about this next story here. Starbucks sells a majority stake in China business for $4 billion. Let's talk about this. So they announced a $4 billion joint venture with Boyu Capital to operate its China locations. Boyu is going to hold about 60% ownership, and Starbucks is going to hold on to 40% and continue to license its brand and IP to Boyu, that joint venture there. The deal values Starbucks' entire China business at over $13 billion, factoring in, of course, its retained stake and future royalty income. The transaction is expected to close in Q2 of next year, 2026, pending, of course, a regulatory approval from the Chinese regulator. CEO Molly Liu, she's, of course, the CEO of the Chinese division there, said the partnership will unlock a vast market opportunity in China through local expertise and capital flexibility. Starbucks currently 8,000, substantial here, man, in 8,000 stores in China, with ambitions to reach 20 to 30,000 locations over time, no time specified. China, Joey, remains Starbucks' second largest market, but recent challenges have prompted the company to seek local partnerships to regain that market share.
Yeah, I think 20 to 30,000, like you're looking to triple that essentially. Is that going to be a good idea, considering we know here in North America they're starting to close stores down? Is the demand for expensive coffee there in China? I don't know. I know essentially I've never been to there. I don't know what the economy is looking like. They seem to be growing just fine, but are people going to be spending their money on Starbucks when things are closing here and the consumer, the lower end consumer, is starting to tighten up as well too? So I think it's more of a higher end consumer for the likes of Starbucks. 20 to 30,000 I think is a bit of a stretch, considering, as I just mentioned, closing stores down here.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And we saw Luckin Coffee start to not just outdo Starbucks in China, but make a move into New York. Yeah. And they're opening aggressively in New York, and they're undercutting Starbucks with good coffee, apparently.
So that's the thing, right? So like, how much market share can they take in China? Right, considering we obviously know the tensions are high with the trade talks between the states and China. So what if the American government's, hey, buy Chinese? What are you going to Starbucks
exactly.
for? Go to Luckin Coffee. Yeah, go to Luckin Coffee. Yeah. So I mean, by all means, do what you want to do. But if the CEO is looking to turn things around and you're shutting things down here, I don't think it's a great idea to build out more. You don't want to have a surplus of stores.
No,
you just
certainly not.
Yeah, right.
And they're closing stores here, left, right, and center.
That's what I'm saying, right? So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, all right, Adara, give us your take on this and the breaking news, of course.
I'll start with IBM because that is the news. IBM apparently cutting, quote, thousands of jobs in order to focus on software growth. Now, it's worth noting this report from Bloomberg specifically says roles, so unclear if those are going to be new roles they're hiring or jobs that actually exist. We know Target did a little bit of both with their recent 1,800 role job cut, but either way, Bloomberg reporting that IBM is going to be cutting thousands of roles in order to focus on growth in the software space. Keep an eye on airlines, too. These are still being heavily discussed with regards to their shutdown and its impact on the airline industry by U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. To get to Starbucks, I have had many thoughts about Brian Niccol's leadership of the company. Most of them are not glowing. He has now been with the company for over a year, and the stock is relatively flat since when he started. It's actually down a bit. But I actually like this move because this is a push. And as Sharif's morning note mentioned here, this is actually their biggest strategic move in the continent since they got involved in 1999. So that's something that shows that Brian Niccol is trying to take Starbucks back to somewhere. Now, again, the direction of the back to Starbucks movement, in my opinion, is still very hand wavy, but this is an actual definitive step to do something. So with that in mind, I actually like that this is directional. It's certainly better than Brian Niccol saying we have to get hundreds of thousands of Sharpies so we can start writing on cups again. I like the move. I want to see how it impacts sales in general, and I want to see, now that they've gotten, trying to deal with the China business, how are you going to improve the American business? How is your focus? How is that, I guess, for lack of a better term, how is that change in focus going to show up in your U.S. sales? I hope it does. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, thank you for that. Let's talk about Ferrari race. Next, they beat Q3 estimates and they reaffirm their long-term guidance. Let's see where RAC is on the day. We are up 2.75%, mind you. Let's talk about this, and then I have some thoughts here that I've been hearing from the grapevine. So, race reported Q3 net profit of 382 million euros. That's about $440 million. That beat the expectations of 367 million euros. Net revenue also rose about 7.5% year over year, now taking in about more than $1.75 billion euros on the quarter. And it was really driven by what the company is saying is a strong product mix and higher personalization demand. Total shipments reached 3,401 units for the quarter. Not bad for obviously a very premium brand. They cited favorable product mix with increased deliveries of their higher margin models, as well as custom configurations where the margins are much higher. Industrial costs in the second half of the year they said it's going to come in lower than expected, supporting profit margins, of course. And they highlighted what the company is saying is sustained demand for their limited series models, as well as the expansion into hybrid powertrain options. I don't know how the purists are going to feel about that. They as soon as I said that, Randy laughed. They reaffirmed their 2025 profit targets, and they expect full year 2025 net revenues, Joey, to come in at least 7.1 billion euros, up from the prior 7. But Randy, I gotta tell you, here's what I'm hearing. So Ferrari, very much like Rolex. You walk into the Rolex store, you want to buy the model that you want, they chuckle, they put you on the waiting list, you're never going to get that model. I'm about to get to it, my man. Yeah. So you take what they give you, and then you sell that Rolly on the secondary market, and you come back for another one, and they keep working you up to the model that you like. Race does the same thing. You go in for the model that you want, you don't get the model you want, you take what they give you and you work your way up the supply or the command chain or whatever. That's not happening anymore. You're going in with maybe one car previously and they're offering you a model that would have taken you 3-4 cars to get prior. Why are they doing that?
Rolls-Royce did that for years and they couldn't get away with it.
Who did that for years? Rolls-Royce did that for years and they couldn't get away with it, Randy's saying.
Such a demand.
Because there was such demand.
And they wanted to deliver cars.
And they want to deliver cars, of course, because that increases the top line.
Like the Wraith and the Ghost Limited Edition.
Oh,
the Wraith, the Ghost Limited Edition. They were sold out before they even started making them, Randy says, yeah.
Times have changed.
Times have changed.
You know?
Money, yeah, for sure. It's all about that top line growth.
There were 79 Wraiths that went to Hong Kong.
79 what?
Wraith.
79 Wraiths went to Hong Kong alone. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know too much about that. Which, clearly. So, Joey, I mean, aside from the fact that maybe, it is not as cachet as it once was, what do you make of the report? What do you make of the technicals?
No, I mean, as for Ferrari, man, 3,400 cars over the quarter, up 18 cars from a year ago, which I found interesting. Obviously, the Middle East and Asia climbing, as Randy just mentioned there. But what I find interesting is that the prices for the cars in the U.S. have risen by 5%. Okay, so you're buying a $200,000 car, you're a higher-end consumer. What is it going to sway you away if the car's $205,000 now?
You're not worried about the price, Joey.
You're not worried about,
you're
not worried about it. So again, the tariffs are non-effective for the higher-end consumer. Essentially, if you're looking to buy a Ferrari, a couple grand isn't going to sway you. But do you want to own this? No, I'm probably going to speed away from this stock at all costs, because you're down to where we're currently trading at 21% to where from that previous high of $500 to now $401 roughly. So not too good of a look from the technicals in Ferrari.
Yeah, clearly. All right, Adara, I mean, they did well on the report. They're up on the day. What do you make all this?
Yeah, I think with regards to the guidance, we already knew this. Like, as you said here in that note in the commentary, like, we already had this guidance as of October 9th. The stock did not like it. So I think the guidance, a lot of that was already perhaps priced in for RACE, but the earnings themselves, they're good. We beat on net profit. Net revenue up 7.4% year over year. I think that's a pretty good look. Shipments, again, unclear how that those compare to estimates, but not bad. I think also when you've got lower costs too, as we have here, that's not a bad look. Long story short, assuming that we do the guidance, which we already kind of did, they did mention that guidance already going through to October 9th for the most part. The thing that we didn't know were the numbers, and those numbers are generally positive. So I think all in all, decent look for RACE, and the stock seemed to react in kind.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. All right, let's go on to the next topic, guys. HIMS reported as well. Let's see where they're at. I think they were up earlier. Are they still up? No, they're basically flat. They're down 0.16, so essentially flat on the day. I think it was a decent report. They topped revenue 2-0. 2-0, Mikel Mourinho. Arsenal. All right, sorry. All right, so earnings per share, that missed. That came in at 6 pennies. The street wanted 9, so a miss on the bottom line, but they did beat on the top line, about a little bit less than $600 million in revenue, beating the 580 expected by analysts. Despite the EPS miss, investors were focused on a strong top line growth and a positive 2026 outlook. Excuse me, typo there. Sending shares higher, at least in the pre-market. Subscriber growth as well rose up to 2.5 million subs, and that's a 21% year-over-year bump, reflecting, of course, the continued adoption of the personalized telehealth model. CEO Andrew Dunham said the company's mission of helping millions access care from home is more real than ever. The firm continues, Joey, to scale its direct-to-consumer health care platform. They're targeting, higher engagement through personalization and product expansion. And we all know about the active discussions that they have with Novo Nordisk, which is the maker, of course, of Wegovy, to make that oral Wegovy and injectable versions available on Hims and Hers. I think that will be a big mover. And this marks Hims' entry into the oral weight loss drug market, Joey, which could be a monster TAM expander, total addressable market.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we mentioned this before. I think that's going to be the case here in Hims. It's been going through some issues. And as for that Novo deal, I'm hearing that it may not even happen altogether, Sharif, which would be extremely detrimental to the stock. But again, we go back to the narrative from the technicals. You're heading towards some key support levels. Keep an eye out on that. If they do happen to strike a deal with Novo Nordisk, get Wegovy and that oral pill obviously on their platform, then you might see a different narrative. But as of right now, it's not looking too good. Be cautious of that $41 break because it's looking like it's heading in that way. Adara, what do you got for us?
Yeah, I have to talk here about NVDA. So NVIDIA, we know, is subject to have a lot of back and forth with regards to will or did U.S. President Donald Trump discuss the Blackwells, which he called super duper as recently as last week, with President Xi during his meeting with President Xi of China last week. Now, we just had Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, talk about this as well. She said that President Trump is very much of the opinion that China should not be having any of these Blackwell chips. So again, even though President Trump indicated that there would potentially be discussion with Xi with regards to implementing the Blackwells, sounds like as of right now, once again, we have more confirmation that China should not, in the opinion of the U.S. government, be getting their hands on these Blackwell chips. India, a little bit of movement on this, nothing too severe. A lot of repeating of what we already knew, guys, but I wanted to mention it nonetheless.
Now on Hims.
Hims and Hers, yeah, hello. So Hims and Hers is, again, in that space that I do enjoy, the GLPs, the GLP-1s. Interesting from a trading perspective and something that I do tend to follow the news on. I think the subscriber growth is nice, 21% year over year. Them missing on earnings per share, I think, like I said, I think this stock is, I don't want to say memey, but it is a stock that gets a lot of retail attention and tends to have outsized moves on catalysts regardless of, you know, how active that catalyst is. Now, I think the big thing here is their active discussions with Novo Nordisk. Like, as you guys mentioned, I think if these active discussions are real, if anything comes of said discussions, I think that's going to be huge. But we know Novo has made it pretty clear in the past that they're not really sure here about what they want to do with Hims and Hers. And we know Andrew Dunham, CEO of Hims and Hers, has been kind of aggressive here when you've had anything from Novo or Lilly suggesting that, hey, maybe this isn't the direction we want to go. So I don't know. I don't know if I really believe this. I think I'll believe it when I see it with regards to these offering of Wegovy on the Hims and Hers platform. But that also could just be my cynicism.
All right, guys, just want to remind you guys, super easy to get the morning note. Every single morning, it'll be out bright early, typically around, you know, like 8 o'clock, 8:10 or so. If you're not already subscribed, hit that join button right below the video. Right there, you hit join. The handsome gentleman Brendo pops up. Hit join again. It's about it's exactly $4.99 Canadian or US per month, and you get the morning note sent directly to you guys every day. Make sure to get that. And here's kind of what it looks like. Well, let me see if I can load it up here with an unedited version, because I basically spam the hell out of it with my highlights, which people don't like, but I can't find it right now, Joey. In any event, get that, guys, sent to you every morning. It gives you technical levels as well as the entire story, yada, yada, yada. Guys, I want to let you know beta is open. This was an IPO, and it opened, I believe, about 6 or 7 minutes ago. Yeah, first print 51, so it opens just before the end of the show. The tap was $34. It opened up at $34. It is dropping now 5.5% negative territory, trying to hold on to 32. It's been as low as, I believe, as 30.86. It looks like it wicked to into that level. It wasn't really oversubscribed. I mean, it was, but not by the same amounts that we've been seeing as of late. BETA on the NYSE down, Joey, about 5.5% as we wind down the show.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things seem to be down 5% or plus, Sharif. And I'm talking about Bitcoin down 5 and a bit. You have Ethereum almost down 8%, or I think it's down a little bit more than 8%, which is not a good time. We'll go over these names one more here throughout the session. The 5 minute. Did we pick up anything on today's session? Yeah, and if you are, the thing is, it's going to probably this continuous downtrend is just going to light you up at the end of the day. So not too good of a look from a performance standpoint there. Trade analysis 27% on Ethereum. It never really performed well on that one. Tesla, I don't think there's too many signals that it's going to pick up on today's session. November, okay, surprisingly, is this still currently open? All right, that's interesting. Right off of those lows, we like that here in TSLA. Performance not doing too bad. You get your 3.45% profit target, our factor right there. Trade analysis shooting 66.6% on this one specific ticker, guys. But it is 2 o'clock. That means it's beef stroganoff time. It means it's time for the afternoon rundown.
Neil was backing you up, though. He said it was no good.
It's not very good.
I mean, I like it, but
I mean,
you got the OG Neil backing you up.
If you're hungry, then yeah, I mean, but other than that, guys, we're going to send it over to Neil and Sean.
Guys.
Thank you.